is your fundraiser going this year? If it's anything less than amazing, it's time to talk to Sean Murphy at FanPledge. No product to sell, nothing to deliver, and guaranteed results. Raise at least 10% more than your current donation based fundraiser, or it's free. Fun, fast, proven. Call Sean at 903-948-7348. FanPledge. The champions are already on board. Are you? Band Yap is proudly sponsored by Troubadour Consultants. When it comes to planning group travel for your fine arts program, look no further than Troubadour Consultants. Whether you're organizing a major out-of-state trip or need top-notch accommodations for the state marching contest, John Mize and his team are ready to create a custom travel experience that meets your band's unique needs. As a family-owned, band director-run company, Troubadour understands exactly what it takes to make your trip stress-free and seamless. Plus, when you book a trip with Troubadour, they will sponsor a $500 college scholarship for a student in your band. Directors who book will also receive a free Mollard baton as a special thank you. Visit troubadourconsultants.com today to start planning your next trip with the experts who truly get it.
The level of individual accountability was so high, and there's just a roll up your sleeves and teach approach. You know what I mean? There wasn't a send that kid to the A block and bring up the next kid. It was, this is the A block. We got to teach them all how to do this thing.
How iconic is the Bill Millers adjacent to the Alamo Dome?
That place is
It is,
iconic.
man.
Yeah.
I've had some moments in that place. Moments of joy and moments of sorrow and everything in between.
Hello and welcome back to Band Yap. I am Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And today we have the man who has done it all. We have Mr. Mike Howard. Hi, Mike.
Hey guys, it's great to be on. Thanks for having me on. Here we go.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate the intro.
Seriously, like I started researching like everything that you've done. I'm like, is there anything he hasn't done? Can you do a backflip?
No.
Oh,
I wish I could. I wish I could.
he's done everything else.
Everything else. Mike, I have to tell you, every single time I see a picture of you, I always imagine you somewhere on like a beach, like being a lifeguard. You have like a very
Why is that?
lifeguard. I don't know. Like I just look at you and there's that Australian show with the lifeguards. I just feel like that's where you belong.
Wow.
Okay, I like where this pod's headed. It's
Yeah,
great.
you just have that vibe. It's just like, we're going to take care of business. Don't act a fool. And, jellyfish.
Well, if it means anything, he's never said that to me. So,
Well, Jose, I appreciate it. I think it's a compliment. I'll take it as one, for this.
I mean,
I've never been a lifeguard.
Really?
No,
neither have I.
Like
it's not in my history of jobs.
Maybe it's because
I guess he hasn't done it all.
let down. Were you? I mean, you're a child of the '90s, yes.
Child of the '90s.
Maybe it's because of the board
80s,
short
90s.
look and like. I mean, I can only imagine what it was like on Southwest Texas like campus during that time frame.
Yeah,
it was
a time. It was a good time.
Those shell
there weren't
necklaces.
a lot of board shorts. By the time I got to Southwest Texas, we're in like long cargo shorts with way too many pockets, wallets with chains for whatever reason.
Yeah, did you wear Jinkos at all?
I didn't have Jinkos. I had some Z Cavaricis.
Oh,
yeah, that takes it a little further back than Jinkos, but we're all cutting up the bottom of our pants, doing the things that one would do in Bobcat land.
Every time someone says Southwest Texas, I kind of have to recalibrate my brain and think, what is that? And then I'm like, oh, okay. I know it is Texas State now.
It's Texas State now.
How do you feel about the renaming when that all happened?
It's interesting so I was there when all of that was going down. So probably 2 years before they renamed, we started to get surveys and classes that we would have to take that would give you different. None of them had anything to do with Texas, but it would, it would ask you what name feels the most distinguished. It would be like Northwestern Idaho or such and such state university. But there were 3 or 4 surveys the students took along the way. We didn't actually think it would happen until it did. So the name actually switched the semester that I student taught.
Wow.
Is a I think it was that semester. It was in that year. So yeah, I was spent most of my time at Southwest Texas and just a little bit of time at Texas State.
So does your diploma say Texas State?
It does say we have both. So we have a Texas State diploma. The Alumni Association there for a couple of years bought a set of diplomas or paid for a set of diplomas that says Southwest Texas State University on it. But about 15 years into band directing, kids would see that on the wall and ask if I actually went to a real college. And at that point, it was time to you know put the SWT one away. But it was a different school then.
Mr.
I have
Howard, are you
students now that
qualified to
ask
teach
if we jumped in the river. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that wasn't a thing though. No,
Oh,
we
really?
didn't go to the river. Yeah, wasn't really a part of that college town at that point.
Huh.
Somebody
That's
didn't.
weird.
Somebody did it in like 2005 or 2008, and now it's what's always happened. I don't know.
Wow. I was actually thinking about this exact topic yesterday because our choir director went to Southwest Texas and they took a did you see that? They
Mhm.
took a picture because there's 3 mascots that were all the mascot that are from Gates or live in Gatesville now. And she was one of them and she was wearing a Southwest Texas shirt in that picture and the other 2 were wearing Texas State shirts. And I was like, "Oh, I forget that was a thing." But yeah.
I don't, because we used to have state solo and ensemble there.
I went to that, but it was Texas State
Same.
University when I went there. Yeah.
I hated that contest.
Did you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the vibe.
You hated lugging a tuba.
I hated lugging a tuba around. That's what it was. And like literally being in that school of music and fighting everyone for space.
Yeah. It's pretty small, pretty tight.
Because the marimbas were taking up all the space, and then you have the tuba players walking through everywhere, and it was always hot.
I performed on the stage one of the times that I did that, and that was like I think it was easier because you got to go through like the loading dock entrance, and you didn't get much of a warm up, but you got to go through the loading dock entrance, and you kind of avoided most of that. I think.
God forbid if you were on the second floor.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous.
That's the woes of being a tuba player. You should have played the flute.
That's right. That's right.
You're talking to percussionists, and we're like, so
that's
what?
Right. That's the same. I was pushing a marimba up that hill. That's the one thing about San Marcos. You're going uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that happen?
I don't know, but I remember when we took the kids to the Sassy camp there for the drum major camp and dropped them off. I was an adult, and I was like, how do people walk this? This is so hilly. I didn't realize it was that.
It's that bad.
Yeah.
Bobcat calves. Is that what they called them?
Every day is leg day.
Oh,
Wow.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Well, all right, Mike. Now that we've detoured heavily, can you actually tell us a little bit about yourself, education, teaching experiences, all that wonderful things?
Yeah.
Lifeguarding experience.
How far back do you want me to go here?
I mean,
we want all the lore, honestly.
I know, like
all
we need the origin story. Like we're going back to like the beginning of the Marvel universe.
Well, so my I grew up around band. My dad was a band director, and actually, for a time, I kind of grew up in and around San Antonio, especially as I got into elementary and middle school outside of San Antonio. So I was in Floresville, Texas, for a bit, where my dad was a band director, and that's kind of where I connected with Manny Maldonado and Jeremy Spicer, and my brother and I were all kind of in a group of friends. So I go back to elementary school, middle school with those guys. My dad took the band director job in Hondo right as I was about to go to high school. So moved to the other side of San Antonio and went to high school in Hondo, Texas, which was a 3A band at the time. Would have been 4A now, right? Had a great experience there, and I decided pretty early on that I wanted to do music in some way, shape, or form. It was kind of always the thing. I don't know that there was ever a moment where I was having to decide between that or something else. That was kind of always the direction that I planned to go, and took auditions and landed at Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos for school. Went to audition at some different places, but that place just felt like home. Jim Hudson was a band director at the time, who I became really close with over the years. Over the years, I was at Southwest Texas and kind of got ingrained in that group. I was with a great group of people at Southwest. Jeremy and I kind of reconnected when I was there. Gilbert Deloriego was there, who teaches trumpets for us, and Leander ISD taught for us at Vandegrift. Just a bunch of guys and gals that were all in the same place at the same time. So a real special class of people at Southwest Texas at that time. Had some opportunities there, marched 3 years of drum corps while I was in college, and started to teach a lot, started to sub some with the Austin Symphony. As you said before, I'm a percussionist, and started to teach a lot of lessons. At the time at Southwest, I would go out to Fredericksburg for a day and teach. I would teach down in Seguin. I would teach up at Cedar Park. So it's kind of had a day in a pretty far away place each week or each day of the week. So I was getting experiences on the other side with different programs, different size programs. And then eventually started to spend more and more time at Cedar Park High School, and did my student teaching at Cedar Park High School with Manny Maldonado and Jeremy and Ron. And yeah, I was getting my degree, and I was about to start to apply for some percussion jobs in the Austin area, and decided that I didn't want to just teach percussion. I wanted to be a band director, right? And in the area at the time, I was a percussion guy. That's where I was. I think that's what people saw me as. So I wanted to go somewhere new. So I took through a connection, took a job in Houston, or applied for a job in Houston, and a new school is opening, Morton Ranch High School and Katy ISD. And I was there for a couple of years, and then stayed within the district and went to Taylor High School and Katy ISD. Met my really good friend Chris Bailey, and worked with JD Yonda there at Taylor. And that whole time that I was in Katy and Houston, Jeremy and I were still very close, and would talk a lot about, wanting to open a school at some point when the right opportunity presented itself. And in 2009, Vandegrift opened. So my wife Amber and I decided it was a great time to uproot and move back to Central Texas. And that was that. We opened Vandegrift in 2009. Jeremy and I were there together for 5 years. And then Jeremy left me, and then I was there for the next 8 as director of bands before I moved into the director of fine arts job. So it's kind of the path and the trajectory. There's a lot of relationships and people that I met along the way, and it's interesting in our business how you keep intersecting with people, as you move from place to place.
That's kind of like nuts. You said, "Oh, I went to elementary school with this person, this person, this person," and now they're like really big names in our profession. It's like, what? That's like Cameron Diaz and Snoop Dogg going to the same high school.
Well, we have this this shared thing that my dad was those guys' band directors for a time, and we have that connection. It's interesting. Just again, the band world being a small world. A guy that I taught with for many years, Paul Pape, who was a percussion director at Vandegrift for several years. Now I actually do the Texas Water Safari with. We could talk about that later. But Paul and I, Paul was actually my dad's student. So there's just different connections that you have early on. But yeah, some of those guys I go way back with. We have some stories in the vault about each other.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, no, this is a circle of trust and zone of confidence.
Mike, are you a Seinfeld fan?
I am a Seinfeld fan.
I thought so. I just caught on to that. I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page. But
yeah,
so
very much so.
What y'all need to do is does the Floresville Elementary have like a special name, or is it just Floresville Elementary?
It's just Floresville Elementary.
Yeah. What y'all need to do is show up to tmea just wearing like Floresville Elementary shirts.
Tigers, dude.
Like all of y'all.
That's funny.
I mean, like Manny show up, like you, Jeremy, and whoever else that went to that middle school or like that
Elementary,
system
yeah.
just wear Floresville Middle School, and everyone's gonna be like, I am so confused by this.
Yeah,
Just big fans.
it's a whole crew of people you bounce through. I just realized, when I played in the all-state band with it was me and Kim Shuttlesworth. There's a uh, uh, one of our elementary school music teachers here in the district. Um, who else was in that band? Darcy Williams was in that band. Darcy Potter at the time. You just kind of you you meet different people along the way, and somehow you all end up around each other on the long end of this whole thing.
That's
Well,
crazy because we were at one of my good friends, we were talking to him and we were talking about his journey through junior high and high
mhm.
school. And he was talking about his percussion teachers in junior high. And he was like, well, Mike Howard started me as a percussionist.
Who was that?
Taylor Davis.
Taylor Davis. Yeah.
And I was like, that's crazy.
As
It's
I like to call him, Zachary Taylor
Zach, we
Mosier
use his
Davis.
full name. His no, it's not even his government name.
I
I
don't
can't
know,
say
I don't
that.
know.
He just went by Taylor back in those days.
Yeah.
Well, so it's a running joke now because he writes our drum book for us over at Gatesville.
Awesome.
And so every single contest I go to, it's Zachary Taylor Mosier Davis on the script. And so I always listen for the stumble because nobody expects somebody's name to be
Worth it.
four names.
Or for the person to put it on the script that way.
Not a lot of phonetic spelling needed either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So it's always funny. It's like Zachary Taylor Mosier Davis. Like even at the state marching contest, I do it.
Yeah.
I love
It's
it.
always
That's
nice to hear
hilarious.
that.
So yeah, and that was one of the things that Taylor told us. He goes, Mike Howard was my band director. I'm like, excuse me.
He didn't even say it that way. Where he was just like listing off, his bringing up, if
Yes.
you will. And he was like, I was started by Mike Howard.
He's
Like,
a good
what?
guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
We like him.
We like him.
We like him a lot. So okay, so your origins come from Floresville to Hondo, and your dad's a band director. Can you tell us a little bit about how that relationship was with your dad being your band director?
It had its moments. I mean, it was great, but you you better do a good job in band. My dad grew up with a crew of San Antonio band directors. They didn't mess around. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of expectations in how we acted, how we treated each other. I think a lot of what I pushed once I got into a head band directing role had to do with kind of our upbringing through that system, through that process. I will say though, I think we did a really good job of separating the dad son relationship and the band director student relationship. He was a percussionist, and I was a percussionist. I kind of grew up in that world, so from being at home and him being dad, and sometimes subbing gigs for him once I got older, of course, down in San Antonio, to sitting behind a set of timpani and trying not to fall asleep in the sight reading room. You had your our different relationships in that world, but it was actually a special time when he retired many years ago. But for the longest time, once I graduated college and I was a band director and he was a band director, he never could see my bands because they were, UIL is when UIL is, and we all have our things in our band world, and our calendars are all conflicting. So once he finally retired, he started to come to a lot of our stuff and spent a lot of time around the band. It was great. It was kind of a full circle thing where he was able to be involved with me and with our band kids, kind of as granddaddy band director at that point. So it was a great thing having him as my band director. I wouldn't change how all that went at all.
A main reason I asked is because like we have young kids, and I'm looking forward to the point where like they're in our program.
Mhm.
And luckily I have a really good model for the way that should look, because my band director, his three sons actually went through our band program while I was there. And I tell you what, the kids he sent to the office the most often were his own kids.
Well, I tell you that the beautiful thing about it is, as band directors, the schedule is what it is, right? And and it allowed us all to be in the same place at the same time, more so than we probably would have been, right? And we really carried that. I carried that whole concept on when, uh, with my family. My wife and my daughter and my son were always at the band things, and we're part of the band program. You know, so that whole idea of having a family business with the band program really started when I was younger, and we carried that through as a family. But that's an awesome thing to have your kid in the program. Um, my daughter was in our band at Vandergrift for a year as part of our dance group, and then moved on to the high school dance team after that. So she was a dancer, but same thing. We're at all the same football games, and she spent her high school days in and around the band hall. And now I'm about to watch my son go through high school band. So he's going to be a freshman next year.
Lots of feeling. How did that change your approach to band directing?
Being a dad,
Yeah.
and I don't know how that this podcast is long enough to talk about that. There's a lot of different things. I think I did better with parents. I think I understood um, a lot of perspective from my parents better, much more so than I did before I had kids. Just you start to really understand how what a parent's feeling when they go into like ultra protective parent mode. You know what I'm saying? Um, and maybe say things that they normally wouldn't say if they were thinking clearly. I started to get better at, especially once you start to have kids and activities. Um, I started to be a lot more clear with parents of here's the schedule. Like I know here we are at this information meeting. I know what you really want to know. You want to know how much time is this going to take? How much money is it going to cost? Instead of beating around the bush with things, I was just clear and direct with parents. Try to communicate with them the way I would want to be communicated with as a parent. I've always said that I think being a parent makes you a better teacher, and being a teacher makes you a better parent. You know what I mean? So, I can't list enough ways that being a dad is maybe a better band director for sure.
That was something that Steve Williamson told me. He goes, you will never understand what it is to truly tap into empathy for your students until you become a dad.
Yeah, totally agree.
And so I tell my parents whenever I have a parent like upset with me about something or, just agitated, I go, honestly, if you weren't upset with me or you weren't concerned about what's happening, that would make me more concerned. And like they're like, I'm sorry, I'm just mad. I'm going, you don't have to be sorry. That's well within your right. You're mama bear, your daddy bear right now. And I'm the person that's encroaching in your cub's area and you want to protect. I get it.
Absolutely.
I go, we're on the same page. I go, I'm going to explain my point of view. You explain your point of view, and hopefully we can come to a great compromise or we can understand each other. That's the big goal here.
You start to hit a relatability factor too with your band parents. At some point, I remember just sitting around at a booster meeting, looking around, going, "Damn, these people are the same age I am. What's going on here?" And you're all kind of in it in the same process. Here I am talking to a bunch of people. We've all got high school kids at home. You know what I mean, myself included. So there's that piece of it too, where you can really start to understand each other and kind of what everybody's going through.
Everyone in this room has had to change a poopy diaper.
That's right. Many. I remind my kids of that too, even if, no matter how old they are.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, there are things I catch myself saying that I'm like, oh, that sounds like my dad. Did you ever find yourself in a moment while you're band directing, you're like, that sounded like my father?
Yes. Every now and again.
I can imagine your dad. You're practicing your triplet rolls, and your dad's in the living room going, "That's not right." Oh
Your
my
left
You
god.
know,
hand.
we didn't have like and I try to do the same thing with our kiddos. There was never a pressure or a force of here's what you need. You're going to be a band director and you need to go practice hours and hours a day. Their push was, we want you to be involved with something. We want you to learn how to work hard. We want you to connect to something, right? And so there was never like a pressure to practice necessarily. They had a lot of expectations. They didn't allow me to lay around and be lazy, but um, we've kind of done the same. We want our kids to connect with an activity, and if that's band, if that's athletics, if it's dance, whatever it might be, we just want them to go all in, learn how to go all in with something, and see what happens.
Well, that comes back to like the supportive relationship and environment that you have to build, and that says a lot of trust. Because I'm so what I'm gathering is that your daughter did not continue in band in high school.
No, she did band in middle school, and then my daughter's studio dance since she was, a little tiny thing, and she did dance all through high school, and now she's dancing in college. So that's her thing. That's her passion.
And some people would be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe they're." But like, that's great because we all have to come from a support, like a place of support and love, and lots of people don't do that. Even when kids like believe our program, and I think this is important as well, is that like you still find a way to support the kids no matter
Mhm.
what. We have kids leave our program. I'm like, what are you gonna do?
That's always your first question when you say, "Are you going to continue in band?" And if they say no, you said, "Well, what else are you going to be involved in?" Just to make sure that they are doing something. And a lot of the ones that we crossed this year, there's not that many of them, but when you talk to them, they would say, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything else." And that's when you kind of approach them a little bit differently
Yeah, well,
about
it's
it.
just like be a productive member of society.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Be
Well, and the
productive.
thing, the thing you want that we want as parents is we want our kids to connect to something. You know what I mean? To latch on to something and to run with it. Same thing as directors for students. You know what I mean? I'm the same way. I went through years of taking it personally when a kid would leave the program. It's hard not to, right? Because we pour so much of ourselves into the program. We want every kid to love it. But you're exactly right. It's that what are you going to do? What are you connected to? What's your plan? Because every kid needs to be connected to something. You know what I mean? And we had for years at Vandergrift just great relationships with our teachers and coaches. I remember one year, all first year, all region percussionists in middle school loved basketball. Right, this kid just ate, drank, and slept basketball, and the kid was 5 foot nothing and not athletic, but he just loved basketball. But he's the best percussionist in the region. I'll never forget the head basketball coach at Vandegrift pulling him in after talking to me and just saying, "Hey, I hear you're really good at drums. You're not great at basketball. You should go play drums." And this kid was one of our best percussionists. Vice versa, I had a kid a few years ago that was just the sweetest kid, not a great saxophone player, but was on track to be an all-state cross country runner. You know what I mean? And loved having him in band for that year, but that was his thing. I mean, he was all in. He's trying to go run cross country in college or run in college. So it's just all of us working together to try and push kids toward that connection point that's going to get them latched on and engaged in society in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? The more we can push kids in those directions, the better off we're going to be.
Well, and you can probably find this a little bit differently than what we can because you're in a role of like being in charge of a whole lot of people, adults. But I find by talking to other people that it is becoming harder and harder to keep individuals in the same position for long periods of time. I have friends in the corporate world who are like, oh, this person's new, and there's always a sense of turnover. And I think it kind of relates back to there being a lot of opportunity for people just to quit and not do anything and not
Right.
understand what full commitment is or what excellence is, or like really digging deep to find that grit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
So,
Yeah.
so why band? Other than the fact that you were born into a band family.
I loved it. No, I actually wrote about this recently. Um, I reflected on this a lot because I was a little writer's blocked for the last Southwestern Musician column, and I didn't trying to find an angle to write about, and finally it was just like, screw it, I'm just going to write about band and then why I like it. You know what I mean? Really, when it comes down to it, and I think we find this with a lot of our young people in the arts. I don't know that a lot of us in our teenage years, especially, feel like we're extremely open to be expressive, or we're just awkward adolescent teenagers. But playing an instrument, standing behind a marimba, sitting behind a drum set was the one place where I felt completely free. I felt expressive, I felt artistic. I really didn't care what other people thought or were thinking about how much I was moving or whatever I was doing. It was just it was a release. And it was a special place for me. Whereas when I wasn't in that, I was a little bit shy. I wasn't a real outgoing person, but that was my spot. That was my place. And once I realized, and I realized at at a young age, because I watched my dad do music for a living, that I could just be a band kid for a living. Like, done, sold. You mean I could just do this? Football games and marching contests and concerts and just do band? Sign me up. And there were a couple other things I thought about along the way that were non-band things, but that was usually all the thing. But it's a deep connection just to music and what it did for me, especially as a young person, and continued to do for me as I got older.
I mean, I've asked this question so many times now, and it's very interesting to hear how there's a similar dialogue all the way through, but also a variation on that dialogue. Because, like, Alexa, why band for you?
Like, why did I choose band from 5th grade to 6th grade?
Yes,
Well,
other than the fact that you were forced to.
yeah, I had to. It was the only elective choice. My sister played drums, and I wanted to do that too. And she was not a lot, but she was 6 years older than me. So when I was in 6th grade, she was a senior in high school. And so I felt like it was kind of like the passing of the torch, you know? But that was really the reason I wanted to do percussion, is because she did it. And I was obviously a better percussionist than her in the long run. So
I relate to you on that because I follow two old. Now, my older brothers didn't play percussion, but both my older brothers were. One was a brass player, one was a woodwind player. So we had every instrument family
everything,
covered.
all encompassing.
Can you tell us about your brothers a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my oldest brother was a euphonium player,
Oh,
and
so he was really awkward.
the other instruments. It's the viola of the band. Um,
What position
I'm
are
gonna
they
use
left
that.
out?
Viola of the band.
That's an instrument testing day when you start talking about a euphonium and the parents
Yeah.
look at you like, "What is that?"
What? Like he
Um,
was the kid at the end of the cafeteria table eating chocolate pudding by himself. I get it.
That
that's
was
right.
you.
That's
You
No,
played
right.
not.
the.
Oh, ma'am. No,
Oh,
ma'am.
sorry.
Yeah, my oldest brother was a euphonium player, and
We'll
he
send him
went
that clip.
he went straight from high school into the Marines. He was in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps, played baritone in the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps, and then when he got out, became a respiratory therapist, and he lives up in the Northeast, up in Connecticut. My he's the oldest. My middle brother, I'm the youngest of three. Don't hate me if you're not a youngest child, because
I'm
I know
yeah.
older children have things against younger children. But um, my brother Chris is a clarinet player, and he finished high school and went to UT. Spent some time in the Navy, went back to UT, went to the went to get his grad degree at Florida State, and then was in the Coast Guard band up in New London until he retired. He just recently retired about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Now he's got a woodwind repair business up in Hartford, Connecticut. So both my brothers were all Texas kids, but they both ended up in Connecticut, of all places. You know,
That's awesome.
So, who's the best looking brother?
that's Do we even have to ask?
Well,
I always tell my brother's friends that he's an uglier, older version of me. They say, you look like your brother. Yeah, I say, well, he's a little uglier than I am, but no.
That's funny.
Well, so we have talked about how you've done almost everything. And I thought this was a pretty cool moment. I saw a picture of you conducting a band with your brother playing clarinet.
Yeah, that was a tmea honor band concert, which was a cool concert. So he played a movement from the Kelly clarinet concerto on that concert. And actually had my dad conduct the march at the beginning of that concert, which was cool. A cool family
That's really fun.
family music moment.
Yeah, how many people can actually say that? Like my sibling played on an honor band concert that I was conducting, and my father also conducted on the same concert.
That's a rarity. Probably only one ever.
I'm still mad at him though, because he told me he had just played the full concerto with the Coast Guard band, and he told me, he's like, man, the accompaniment not a big deal. He's like, we're doing the Maslenka Symphony 4, so I had my hands full dealing with that. So he's like, no, as you get closer to tmea, y'all can put together the accompaniment. And in true to Kelly fashion, it didn't look that hard until you start rehearsing it. And man, we got our first rehearsal on it and just fell flat on our face, and ended up having to spend more time on it than I planned. But that's all right. It ended up great.
He did that on purpose.
I feel like with Kelly, I've had my butt kicked more times playing Kelly percussion parts than I have a lot of
well, and it just, a lot of his music doesn't have just a motor behind the band that keeps things moving.
Oh yeah.
All of the motor instrument, it just passes around the band. So you're just banking on passing that thing around in time and nothing crazy happening.
Yeah.
But good times.
Yeah, that's a really cool. I mean, that's a core memory. Like I saw that photo, I was like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that is really neat.
Yeah, that whole concert experience was a core memory. Just that whole night, the whole concert. It was a special night.
So were you the best musician in your band then?
In my band? Where?
And Hondo.
I held my own. I did okay.
So how many people did you graduate with over at Hondo, Texas?
110.
Wow.
Booming.
You might ask yourself, that's a very specific number to remember, but here's why I remember it. Because I was 11th in my class. We call that exactly the 10% cutoff. And for those, in those days, as long as you're in that top 10%, you don't even have to write essays to go to school. Like, you just automatic admittance to any Texas public university. And so I squeaked in at number 11 in our 110 student class. So if we would have had 109 students, I would not have been in the top 10%.
That's what I graduated with, 39 people. And so the top 10% was 3 people. And they just don't round up for that fourth one.
That's just wrong.
They just don't.
That's just wrong.
39.
Your graduating class was the same size as probably the Henry Middle School beginning flute class.
Yeah, actually, I think
just
you're right.
about. Yeah, just about.
I mean, just think about it that way. It's like, oh.
Well, I've said this before, but when I went to like the first time on the field with the Baylor marching band, I was like, this is 10 times the size of my graduating class, but also this is larger than my entire 7 through 12 or 6 through 12 campus that I went to school at.
So was there a shock for you going from Hondo to Texas State? Sorry, Southwest Texas.
You can just call it whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Go Bobcats.
No, it was fantastic. It was a shock. I mean, I had a blast in school. The similar to what you're talking about. It was going from a town of 5,000 to a university of whatever it was at the time, 25, 26,000. And it was completely different. You're in a much much bigger pond, which makes you feel like a much much smaller fish. Um, so just all of it, the size of the community, the size of the school, the size of the band. Um, the first time I got to play, I made All State my senior year and played with a big band for the first time because those All State bands, have 150 kids in them or whatever. But um, those, you, I got to Texas State and play with the marching band, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience and something completely new. And just being around people, you get into school and you're around people that also just want to do music. But it was a culture shock, you know, uh, going to Central Texas. Hondo was that town was very blue collar and very agricultural, um, and that my upbringings were not well to do at all. I had well, both my parents were teachers, you know, and doing the thing. So it was a new experience going to Central Texas and living in the dorm. Lived in the dorm that first year before I moved into an apartment. But yeah, it was awesome.
What did your mom do?
So my mom did a couple of things. She was for uh, many years. She was a graphic designer and did graphic design and was in the business world and was like traveling and was really busy and always just not home a lot, all that kind of stuff. And this is a great, you know, now that I understand, I was young at the time, but looking back on it, it's just something I have a deep amount of respect for. At some point, she just said, enough is enough. Like, I don't like this. She's in her adult life. She was successful, experiencing a lot of success, but was miserable. So she stopped working and went back to school and went to UTSA to get her teaching degree. So we went from her having this job, graphic design job, to our family of five living off a band director's salary and whatever my dad could make playing 4 or 5 nights a week in San Antonio. So she could go back to school and become a teacher. And then she spent the rest of her career as a teacher, ended up uh, retiring as a curriculum specialist in Hondo after teaching in Hondo for many years. So we had a family of teachers. She taught elementary school the whole time, like late years elementary school, fourth, fifth grade. But yeah, that's her thing. Now for many years she was writing. After that, she was writing tests for hardcore, test writing companies. She'd write star tests and things like that. Similar things for other states. So when I was in college, I could send her my papers, and man, she'd talk about not feeling very smart. She'd shred those papers, man. It was rough.
That's what I feel all the time with Alexa. Like I send her something, I'm like, well, how does this sound? And she's like, that's the worst. When I send her an email, like, can you look over this? And then I hear
So yeah, she's got an English degree, but she ended up being a teacher.
So what bands would your dad play in?
Oh man, all sorts of things. Whatever was the highest paying one, right? So he played a lot with a big band in San Antonio called the Felix Solis Jazz Orchestra, and they did a lot of big parties in San Antonio, weddings, things like that. But it was a black tie big band that played all things jazz, Latin jazz. He played probably his favorite band he played with, but probably one that didn't make a ton of money. He played with a band that was like a 70s, 80s funk band, blues band called Tears of Joy is the name of the band. Actually played in that band with a couple of guys that were also band directors in the San Antonio area. But I know that's a group he really enjoyed playing with. He'd play with the house band at Dick's every now and again, back when Dick's used to have a regular house band. Just different things around San Antonio.
Yeah, wonderful establishment, just wonderful.
I've never been there. I'm just saying.
Really?
I've never been. All the years I've been to tmea, I've never been there.
Oh,
I used to sub gigs there for him in high school. You know what I mean? Is a different time. I don't know if that's a parent to decision I would make these days, but it
That's
was a lot
funny.
of fun.
oh,
I'm sure it was.
That place.
I've
That
never
place
been.
is
I don't understand.
unhinged. It really is.
Well,
You better hold on.
I guess we have a place to go.
Oh no, we have children. No,
They don't come to the convention
Yeah.
with us always.
You don't
Yeah,
wanna go.
whatever. You don't want the children there.
No,
Oh,
we won't
my
take them
goodness.
there. Obviously.
So, what were you involved in any other activities while you were in high school other than the band?
Yes. So I played sports. I played football and ran track, and I was in one act play. I was in student council. I was the yearbook editor and the newspaper editor. It was Hondo High School. You did everything, right? Involved in all the things. And, we did band one night a week, and we did all the other things on the other nights. So kind of on a little bit of everything throughout high school.
Did you get one of the awards in the yearbook, most likely to succeed, or et cetera, et cetera? Best.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Not that
He's
I
all
can
like,
remember.
actually, I have this yearbook right here.
No.
Most likely
No,
caused a
that
car
was not.
accident.
Well, the thing is, that's not. It's one of the things I really treasure about having a small school experience. It's not abnormal. It's not abnormal. I was not abnormal by being in all of these different things. The whole group that I hung out with in high school, we were all in all of the things. It's to some way, shape, or form. I was not in FFA, and I got razzed a lot by the counselor in Hondo, Texas, for not being in FFA. I had a lot of friends that were, so nothing against it. I just had, just wasn't interested in it at the time. I lived in an agricultural community, but didn't really come from agricultural roots. You know what I mean? So we did all of the things. That is one thing that is one thing about the experience in our schools in Leander that I think is not as enriching at the high school level. Is and I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, but it's just different. The schedule restraints and the number of different activities and things that those students can participate in is just not as much. You know what I mean? At the middle school level, yes, they can do a lot of different things, but it gets a little smaller than the high school level. And some of that just has to do with the demand, the practice demand and expectations on those teams or programs, but that was something really special. If there's one thing that I say I got the most from being in a small school environment, it was the opportunity to kind of dip my toe in lots of different things,
And that probably made you a lot more aware of timelines and deadlines and different things like that, because you have to put your eggs in the right basket at the right time.
Yeah, and you got to prepare for multiple things. And each of those things you do, you wear a different hat. I mean, if you're playing defensive end on the football team, that's a really different skill set and thought process than acting in the one act play. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of growth opportunity there, I think, for kids. And like I said before, I think there's a better odds that a kid's going to get connected to the thing they end up being really passionate about, right? I think they find their niche by having a lot of different opportunities.
So, for example, what is the enrollment of Vandergrift High School currently?
Currently, it's around 2,400, 2,500.
Okay. So it is literally 20 times the size of your graduating class.
Right. Correct.
So in your high school, there was approximately probably 600 kids in the high school, maybe.
Yeah, it was a little less than, but it was closer to 500.
So it's 4 times the size of your high school. And so, and this is one of the other things I've come to realize talking to other people is that one, yes, everybody wants their time, but two, it's a lot easier to say next man up in a large school.
Yeah, absolutely. When the level of accountability is higher and all those kids participating, you know. Um, that was a thing that was really interesting when we opened Vandegrift. We had 42 kids in the band. And, I'd spent my first 6 years teaching in big schools. Um, and the biggest of which being Taylor High School, that school had 3,000 kids in it or whatever. And going back to that band with 42 kids in it, bless their hearts, they're sweet kids, but they did not play well. And the level of individual accountability was so high, and there's just a roll up your sleeves and teach approach. You know what I mean? There wasn't a send that kid to the A block and bring up the next kid. It was, this is the A block. We got to teach them all how to do this thing. And I think Jeremy and I both really cut our teeth that year just in teaching and embouchure overhauls and bringing the bottom end as close up to the top as we could, and it was great for us to get back to that and to just have a small group, because those first 3 years really of the band, it was small, 42, then probably 80 or 90, and by year 3 is maybe 120. But then you fast forward 13 years and there's 400 kids in the band. It's hard to try and maintain that same approach, but we tried to maintain it, right? Roll up your sleeves and teach every kid. But you're exactly right. I think it's a special thing about small school teaching. And early on, I didn't realize how special it was at the time. But, my dad, when I was a little kid, my dad was at Randolph Air Force Base. He was the band director there. And when you're the band director at Randolph, you are the band director, and that's 6 through 12. So he's teaching all the beginner instruments, and he's teaching all of the high school kids. And now I think to that now, I'm like, damn, if I were the only band director and I'm teaching the flute class, and then I'm teaching the clarinet class, and then I'm teaching, just the level of work that it takes. That's something that always amazed me with him, is how proficient he was at all the instruments. But that's just because he spent several years teaching all the instruments in a small school setting. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling on, but
no, this is why we call it band yap.
I'm yapping.
Yeah,
trying to live up to the name.
Well, okay. So what position did you play in football?
Defensive end.
Defensive end. What
I would not call myself I was not in a skill position. So if it involved throwing a ball or catching a ball or running with a ball, that wasn't me. If it was just running into somebody, that was my thing. That was mainly defensive line, outside defensive line.
What did they tell Bobby Boucher and the Waterboy?
Which thing?
When they're telling him to go tackle.
Oh,
that's what that made me think. I quote that movie very frequently.
It's like, what part of the snake are we eating?
Well, snakes don't really have
parts, but I would have to say
the knee.
The knee. So did you play football all 4 years?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years. Okay, once I started to realize that I was going to try and go get a music degree, the idea, when I was auditioning for scholarships, the idea of breaking something, it just wasn't in the cards. Not a well-received decision in Hondo, Texas, quitting the football team, by the way.
Well, I understand. I'm from Sinton, Texas. Sinton, Texas is another different. Yeah. Oof.
That was a little rough, but and I was good at it, and I liked my coach, but I knew what I wanted to do, and I was also in the place where I needed to try and get as much money as I could to go to school. So it was time to take auditions. So I decided not to my senior year.
It's funny to hear Mike Howard say, like, oh, I didn't have hands. In football and in the band world and percussion world, those mean two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is funny because Alexa doesn't have hands either.
I don't.
Like, she drops things consistently.
I wonder why that is. I'm sure there's a reason. But yeah,
I
I've
just
had multiple people point that out to me, how uncoordinated I am, but then I'm a percussionist. I don't know.
can you dance? No, I
No.
can't either.
No.
Yeah.
The choreo stuff is tough for me.
I mean, I do
I
choreo.
try. What I do have is heart. So
That's right. That's all that matters.
yeah.
That's all that matters.
What did you do in one act play?
I was a actor. So I was in 3 different plays: sophomore, junior, and senior year. So
Were you the
slightly
lead man?
elevated role each year, you know.
Ooh.
And one act play in Hondo, Texas at the time, like there's no theater classes. It's just a group of kids that they said, "Hey, there's a play contest with UIL," and it's like, all right, well, whatever, let's do it. So we had a really passionate English teacher that was into theater. So it's kind of cool. There's a group of people and we're all from, we're all running with different groups of kids and have different interests, but we do this one act play, and it was in our we had a stage in our gymnasium, in our main gym. So there wasn't an auditorium or anything, but we made it work. One of the years we did pretty well, went a few rounds in the UIL process. Back in those days, one act play, there's one judge. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on? One person decides. So I always thought that was kind of crazy.
So you had the gymatorium experience.
The gymatorium. That's right. With like a rubber gym floor.
Oh.
You've talked about a cafe gymatorium.
I've ran into a cafe gymatorium.
A place where all things can happen.
Yeah. Very versatile. It's called a multi-purpose. Yes.
That's right.
Multi-application.
I need to go down to no, they don't make them the same way. Since,
what are you talking about?
What I miss. Listen, wait. I miss the rolls they used to have in the cafeteria.
You know what you're making me think of? Bushes.
I don't think I missed that at all. I'll take a Bushes roll though. I'd rather a biscuit from Chicken Express, but
he said Chicken Express. That's the second time somebody's brought up Chicken Express recently.
Well, we were talking to Wyatt about chicken.
Oh, that's right. What are your feelings about chicken? Fried chicken, that is.
Love it.
Love it.
Fun fact: we had the best booster meals people all those years at Vandegrift, and word got out that I like chicken gizzards.
Yes.
And
you guys are soul sisters.
They deliver, sometimes we'd have Chicken Express for our meal before the game. So the kids all get their chicken strips or whatever. But they roll in with a box of fried chicken gizzards. The rest of the staff just thought it was nasty. But that was a thing.
That's that country living.
That's how you know you are blessed. That is right.
You got that country living.
I love gizzards.
Yeah,
we were talking Texas about Pete hot sauce on there. You know what I mean? Come on.
We were talking about, we have a student who spent several months working at Bush's Chicken. And he recently interviewed at Chick-fil-A. And so we were talking about him, about his interview experience. And I was like, well, did you tell him you had a history in chicken? And he was like, I did bring up that I worked at Bush's. Yes.
Those are two very different chicken places.
Yeah, they are.
So where's your go-to chicken place?
I don't know if I have a go-to. I've got a Chick-fil-A real close to the office. But I mean, if I had to choose between that or Bush's / Chicken Express, I would, which I think are kind of basically the same thing with an exception of rolls versus biscuits. I would go Chicken Express. Yeah.
They're similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bush's
I'd lean that direction. Bill Miller's got some mean fried chicken too.
You just said Bill Miller's.
He's from the San Antonio area.
I know, which I appreciate because I had to explain the bucket of tea to someone. Was it you?
Maybe. I didn't grow up in South Texas. I don't
like the bucket of tea. I was like, yeah, you go to Bill Miller's on a Sunday and you get a bucket of tea.
That was probably me. This sounds like
and they're like, a bucket of tea.
You can just say me.
Bucket of tea.
What's funny is Bill Miller is obviously terrible barbecue. In fact, you shouldn't even use the word barbecue. It's Bill Miller, right?
It's filler.
It tastes like home to me. And so I associate it with is something that tastes good.
Yeah.
So it drives my family crazy because about, I don't know, 5 years ago, they built a new Bill Miller on 1431, maybe 4 miles from my house here in Cedar Park. And I mean, if it's up to me, I could stop there whatever days, but they're over Bill Miller. They do have good breakfast tacos,
That's
though.
what I was about to say.
They
Is I
do.
feel like people bring up breakfast every time they talk
Well,
about Bill
how
Miller.
iconic is the Bill Millers adjacent to the Alamo Dome?
That place
It
is
is,
iconic.
man.
Yeah.
I've had some moments in that place.
That's the only one I've ever been to.
Moments of joy and moments of sorrow and everything in between. You know?
Oof.
Well,
Nothing that a piece of apple pie can't fix.
Oh,
In a
yeah.
bucket of tea.
Well,
Tea.
like, was it Sean Murphy? Yeah. So Sean Murphy, like, he came out and did a couple clinics with us this year,
Okay.
and I said, "Hey, do you want to just tag along at the state marching contest with us?" And he said, "Sure." And he sure does stroll up with a Bill's Miller's like cup, just full throttle. And like, I'm just like, "Are you carrying around a Bill Miller's cup?" He goes, "Heck yeah."
Wow.
You know? Good stuff.
Most
Oh,
people
my
carry around
goodness.
Red Bull, White Monster.
Sean Murphy, Bill Miller tea, and his bad tea too.
I've never okay, I think I have had it, but that's the only Bill Miller I've ever been
Has a
to.
really,
Is the
really
one
big
That's
dry
where you
pool.
go back to like Bush's and Chicken Express. That's some solid tea.
Yes.
I go unsweet. I can't do the.
No.
It's like
My sister
I
and
can't
I
do the
used to
sweet
go
tea.
to Bush's when she got her driver's license. So she was like 16, I was like 10. Bush's is probably the closest restaurant to my parents' house. And they had 50-cent tea. And so we'd go get that was our thing. Because
There you go.
we're children. We
You
go
ever
get-
seen them make the tea?
No,
Oh,
This is one of those
Don't
behind
ever-
the scenes things you
don't
don't
how
know.
it
ever-
was made.
don't
Yeah.
ever just watch
I
that.
prefer not to know much that goes on inside the bushes.
Yeah.
I think they take care
haven't-
of their business and they can send out the deliciousness. We'll go from there.
I haven't seen them bread the gizzards either. And
No,
The amount of sugar they pour into their sweet tea concoction is like,
so why
That's
have
gotta be
you
all the
seen
time.
this?
because I happen to be in there picking up an order for like solo and ensemble judges, and they're like, shh. It's like a rain stick. And that's all it is. Like, seriously, it's a rain stick of sugar.
What is that called when they add the sound in like post production? Oh, there's a very specific term for it. I don't remember what it is. Where they have all the weird sound effects that they do. That's
I
what
don't
all
know.
I'm imagining is like a video of that, and then someone doing like a rain stick for the sugar, and yeah.
What are your feelings about canes?
I like canes. I don't know
Okay.
why it costs so much, but
Ugh.
and their tea's funny. Tea tastes funny to me.
Do you like canes without the sauce? Okay.
It's
We-
the sauce thing.
Yeah.
And me and my son
feel-
are a perfect match because he doesn't want his sauce. So when we get canes, he automatically now just tosses his sauce to me. Solid.
It's a Foley artist.
Oh.
Sorry.
So then I
should
go
have-
triple sauce because I sub out my coleslaw because I don't want that business for an extra sauce. So yeah,
I can get behind that. I just don't feel like a sauce should make a chicken.
Well, it's the same thing.
I can understand that.
The Texas Monthly Top 50 just came out, and it's the same thing that people say about that. Well, their sauce is the best, and it's like, do you need sauce on your brisket?
No.
You shouldn't.
No. Exactly. That's just bleh. No. I just can't.
Sorry, derailed.
Derailed.
We start talking about fried chicken. I'm all about
I
it.
know you can. We
Yeah,
can talk
that
about some fried
chicken
chicken.
fried steak. That's
We should. There should be a subsidy of this podcast. Chicken yap.
Chicken yap.
Mike, do you have a greatest mentor?
Probably Dick Floyd would be my closest mentor. But there's been a handful, that changes through your career. Early on, when I was in Houston, I got the opportunity to have regular rehearsals and sessions with Eddie Green and got close to him. And he helped me a lot just on how to teach the instruments. And then when I got to Austin, we had Tom Shine out a lot to spend time with the band. But once I kind of connected with Mr. Floyd, he became kind of my person. We're still very close. So he helped me a lot in a lot of different ways um, through the years. Kerry Taylor's another one that I'm really close with. It was like a he's like a help me with this problem mentor. You know what I mean? Kerry was at Westlake for 30 years, and I knew that whatever issue I was having, that he's probably had it in some way, shape, or form. So I would call him a lot, and we became pretty close. Just him helping me with situations. Both those guys I still see on a regular basis. Just good dudes.
Do you feel like that's almost like kind of like a lost niche where somebody's stayed in the same location for more than 10 years?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's something that you see in the climate of education in general right now. You know what I mean? All from bottom to top, um, staff positions to superintendent positions. You know, you just don't see longevity necessarily like you did. I think there's different reasons for that, but you definitely, you know, I definitely don't see it like I saw it. You know, we had Carol Nelson, who was here at McCallum High School in Austin for 40 years. She's just retiring. You know, that's just don't see stuff like that as much anymore.
You know, which has its pros and its cons, I think. When you see like, hey, we have new people coming in within reason of time versus
Mm-hmm.
new person, new person, new person, new person. And so like stability within a program gets really, really, really unstable versus somebody who's been in a stagnant position for like 20 years.
Well, I think with all of it, and I talk to young band directors about this a lot, or college kids about this. Um, I do think there's a piece of it where people are trying to jump from one place to the next to find whatever that next best thing is. But really, you find a place that's the right community for you, that's a supportive administration with you, and you roll your sleeves up and teach. You know, I tell kids a lot, you know, some of these programs that they might look up to and admire, at one point, they may not have been a very good band, but somebody just got there, they put in the work, and they got kids in the program, and they just taught, you know. Um, so I think some of that bouncing from place to place at times can have to do with that as well, you know.
I've said this a lot before, but especially in band, because there's a lot to be said for all of education, but especially in band, there's a lot of grass is greener,
Hmm.
and people looking for a different setup, or just things that they find more desirable. But I don't think that there's any perfect setup. And I think the mistake people make is that they jump around instead of taking the time to cultivate what they want or need it to be. And that just takes a lot of, like you said, like rolling up your sleeves and teaching every kid. That takes a lot of work. And people, not everyone, but a lot of people just want it to be set up for them. And it's like, well, that's not really how
Correct.
that works.
If you look at a, a program that's performing at a high level, typically one of those ingredients was a lot of work from all the staff, the kids, the buy-in created.
Everyone. Yeah.
You know, I always say that being there is a debt to be paid to be good at something, no matter what it is. You know, so you're absolutely right. You don't want to just bounce around. Just get in and get to work, um, and find the right situation for you. I also think that as band directors, we tend to put goals in place that we think we we have to achieve to feel success or to fill our cup. You know what I mean? Where they don't end up really doing that. Um, so yeah, there, I could get on a whole soapbox about some different things that can be healthy or unhealthy with band and how we run with it.
Well, excellence is going to collect its pound of flesh one way or another.
Hmm.
Let it be like time wise, let it be like your mental health wise, let it be like your, you know, your family dynamic. It's going to get you somewhere. And like it just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice to get the level of success that you want, quote unquote.
Well, and again, whatever that means,
Yeah.
whatever that level of success means, because there are things that there are things that I thought would be fulfilling that weren't. You know what I mean? And what we do as professionals, especially in the band world, is we we have our goal line or our goal post, and we just keep moving that goalpost back. You know what I mean? And what we told ourselves was going to be enough, all of a sudden isn't enough. You know what I mean? Which can be a kind of a vicious circle to be in, spiral, if you will.
Yeah.
It's that endless pursuit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, which is like led to a lot of people being out of the business, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I don't know what the answer is, but um, the real goal is to get as many kids connected to the arts as we can, right? And get kids invested, get kids involved, create a generation that's going to continue to support the arts. But we can only do that if they're there. You know what I mean? I just worry that the kids come out of the focus too much, and I've experienced that in my own. I experienced time in my career where I feel like I did it wrong, and times in my career where I feel like I did it right. And one of my goals is to try and work more health into our profession in terms of, we have enough in education. There are enough boundaries and obstacles in education as it is. We don't need to create, as a band directing community, additional things that make our jobs that much harder. A lot of what we complain about as band directors are self-inflicted as a band directing community. These are things that we've done to the job. So one of my goals in the role I'm in now is how can we keep solid culture? How can we keep teaching kids how to be great at something and have rigor in their environment, but have it be healthy both for the kid and the teacher? What does that look like? And how can we make decisions that are financially sustainable? You know, so all the things.
Yeah. So what? Since you brought up mistakes, is there a mistake that you've made that has made you a better educator?
Yes, there's one that really sticks out. This might be a mindset more than a mistake, which I guess could also be a mistake. And I think I will backtrack before I say this, that my biggest support and biggest confidant as a band director for many, many years was my wife, Amber. And she was the one that was always honest with me about me and about my bands. And when that line wasn't straight at the football game, she would tell me about it. She is uh, my biggest fan. And I remember after it was a state marching contest, it was a 5A state marching contest. And it was my first 5A state marching contest as the head band director. And it was the same mindset we're talking about right now. I had told myself, if we just make the finals, I'm going to be happy and this is going to be a success. And we did, right? But we were near the top. We're top of the finals. So then I told myself, well, if we're just in the top 3, then I'm going to be happy and this is going to be a success. And then this is all what I'm telling myself in my mind. And then they called out 3rd and we weren't 3rd. So then what do I say? Well, actually now, as long as we win this thing, I'm going to feel like a success. And we ended up getting 2nd. And I remember them calling us out for the silver medal at the state marching contest. And she could obviously tell that I was distraught. I did not have a great look on my face. And she got right up next to me and she said, "What is wrong with you?" She said, "Your kids just got 2nd at the state marching contest. You better get out there and celebrate." And just like very pointed. And it was a big aha moment for me where I'm like, what am I doing? This is my mind is in the wrong place right now. Like, again, I keep moving the goalpost back instead of celebrating what we're doing. and celebrating our year and celebrating our kids. Um, and she was honest and direct with me in that moment. It's exactly what I needed to hear, and it helped me take a different approach. You know, a different approach with the kids, a different approach with my mindset of what I wanted. And lo and behold, if you want to talk about the quote unquote success, I think the band, as we went on forward, actually was did better. They performed better. They performed more passionately. They performed less like they were trying to solve math equations. You know what I'm saying? Um, they perform with a confidence instead of an error mindset. So that was a big point for me as a band director, where I just had to kind of like suck it up and do this thing for the right reason and go celebrate your kids. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that says a lot about the whole entire like student experience. And I think that once we get out of our own way, one, it takes a huge weight off of our
Mhm.
shoulders, because I can only imagine what kind of weight that actually felt on you. And then that moment where your wife was like, "Hey, quit it,"
She was.
Get it
She
together.
was. Quit it. Stop.
and
You
you
know?
kind of like you almost kind of like relax.
Well, and you know how that goes too. She knows we know each other so well that I like to think I was masking it pretty well, but she knows me better than I know myself. So she could immediately look at me and be like, "Fully, you need to suck that up and go celebrate your kids." And it was a reflecting on that, and I've actually talked about it in clinics and things before. It just helped me take a different approach, you know, um, as we continue to do different kind of competitive things, marching things, whatever it might be. A different approach with the kids, the process with the kids, and certainly the performance and competitive environment with them, especially after that.
Well, I also think that everyone needs somebody like that in their lives to kind of tell them, "Hey,
Agreed.
this is not going well. This is what you should probably do." And not everyone's very receptive to that.
An accountability partner, if you will.
Yes. Yes. And
Now, she still would. Let me tell you, she still would bust my chops though. If there was not a straight line on that field, or she didn't like part of how a part of the show was going, you know, she's like, "Hey, you gonna fix that, or what's going
you're
on?"
gonna let that ride. I think it's
She
gonna
said,
go
"My kindergartners could stand in line better than that."
Oof. Oof.
And I would tell our kids that too sometimes at rehearsal. I was like, "Man, guys, if y'all don't figure this line out, I'm gonna be hearing about it on Sunday from Mrs. Howard." You know.
So can you tell us about your wife?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we're kind of a country mouse, city mouse situation. So she grew up in Houston, in Aldine, which is northeast Houston. And
You didn't say that right.
what's that?
Aldane.
Aldine.
Aldane.
She was, you know, came from a very different school than mine, very different. And we met our freshman year at Southwest Texas, and we went on our first date our senior year at Southwest Texas. I had a little bit of growing up to do, you know what I mean? So it took me 4
No,
years.
what do you mean?
And we'll
What
just
do you
leave it at
mean?
that. That's another podcast. Uh,
How'd y'all meet?
and how do we meet? We met at a cafeteria. She was in class with my roommate. They were friends, so we met at a cafeteria, Commons Cafeteria at Southwest Texas. And then we saw each other a couple of times here and there through that year through mutual friends, and then reconnected later on in school. And yeah, we went out on a. It took 4 years for me to get her to go on a date with me, but once we did, we went out in April of our senior year, right before we graduated, maybe end of March, early April. We were engaged by August. We had we got married that next June. We had our daughter Madison 9 months and 6 days after our wedding. Um,
Oh, oh.
it's close enough to where our family's doing the math. You know what I mean? They're like, hold on a second. This is Mexico. You know what I mean? So but yeah, we started our life together there in Houston, and she is an elementary teacher. She's just finished her 21st year teaching elementary school and has been in either kindergarten or second grade that entire time. Most recently in second grade for the last few years, and it's just a gem on her campus teaching elementary kids. And that's her world. She coined our band world the family business, and made our kids part of that. So our kids grew up in the band hall, and they were always around, and she was always around, going to marching contests, doing the thing, so she was really with me step by step, and all of the things that we've done. And yeah, she is our world here. So yeah, she's a special, special person.
Well, once again, like that community and that village and all that support. I mean,
Hmm.
you need it, and you wouldn't have done probably nearly the things you have done if it wasn't for like that support from home. I mean, you could have, but you probably would have been a little bit more miserable and lived up at the band hall way, probably a little bit more than what you already
Probably
did.
so. Probably so. Yeah. But she was there a lot, and we have a special relationship, and we do all the things together. We like to travel together. We like to, especially now that our kids are older, we're starting to get to travel more and do different things together. Of course, a lot of our traveling through the years was band trips. You know what I mean? For better or for worse. Um, but my kids did get to go to some cool stuff because of band trips. So um, yeah, she's uh she's awesome.
So, what are some of the things that you did in order to create that culture that you wanted inside your band hall?
I think a big part of it is honestly the rehearsal atmosphere. I think when we think culture in our band programs, a lot of times our minds immediately go to all of the extra things that we try to do to create culture, right? Maybe it's t-shirts or social events or section parties or how we greet kids before and after rehearsal. All those things are important, and they all should happen, right? But really the culture of your program is how you spend most of your time together. And a band program spends 90% of their time together in rehearsal. Um, the other 10% of their time is spent before, after, in performance, all of that stuff. I talk to our teachers a lot, and it's a philosophy I live by at Vandergrift for many years, that your rehearsal environment is the culture of your program. Like how that feels, that's what the kids are really going to resonate with and take home with them at the end of the day. So it's one of the big things that I picked up from Mr. Floyd along the way. He has actually a whole chapter about this in his Artistry and Teaching Music book, which is a book that every music teacher should read. And it's basically about the combination of rigor and positivity. Like you can kick a kid's butt and make them feel loved all at the same time. You know what I mean? And I would usually argue that most of if we all as teachers, if we reflect back on our favorite teacher when we were growing up, usually part of that equation is that it's somebody that we knew cared about us, but we also they expected a lot from us. We would usually describe that teacher as a hard teacher. Um, so a lot of the culture for me leaned into what the rehearsal environment felt like, and we did all the other stuff, right? I wanted the kids to bond with each other outside of rehearsal, and I wanted them to feel connected to the program, and try and make sure kids that looked disconnected, somehow I found them a connection point. But a lot of it had to do with making sure that we created an environment that they looked forward to coming to each day. And I think it's something that teaching a kid in 2025 is crucial. how you could teach a kid in 2005 and how you can teach a kid in 2025 are two very different things. I think that I think rigor looks a little different now. I think it's still hard. I think you still push, but it's got to be fast paced, and it's got to provide them constant engagement. So when I look at culture, I lean into that a lot, that environment, that rehearsal environment a lot. Obviously, trying to create great performance experiences, but even the best performance experience won't overcome a negative rehearsal culture, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, you're right because, there's those old school band directors and that their rehearsal technique was like yelling. And we all have a little bit of that in us, but if that's your main personality, then that turns off a lot of kids. And then you also start to wonder, like, why is that program not bigger?
Well, there's some really interesting coaching reads, like successful college coaches, right? And how that world has changed. We're teaching a different kid, and I think as kids change, so does teaching. So must teaching. Because you're exactly right, like that fire and brimstones approach in my opinion, um, with kids in 2025, you're gonna lose that middle majority of kids you're trying to keep. The kids that are super bandos, they're always going to be in band and they're going to love it no matter how much you yell at them, right? The kids that are just pissed off at the time on the other side of it, probably same thing. They're going to be upset. But then you have that big group of kids in the middle that you're trying to sway into your program, that I think we have to be careful what our approach is. And don't mishear me. It's not, you know, puppies and candy and let's all feel good. Like, we're still going to push them and teach them how to work hard, because we need to be teaching kids how to work hard right now. But I think we have to do it in a different way.
Yeah. Well, part of that also comes down to, this is a discussion we've had, that kids have gotten smarter because they have accessibility to more information. And
Yeah.
so we can't treat them like they're dumb.
No.
Because
I agree. I think that I think a big piece of it with their accessibility to information is also the challenge we have is their accessibility to stimulus. And, learning an instrument is a slow burn. It is what it is. Even for somebody naturally gifted, learning to play the bassoon it takes time. Um, and I noticed, like, with our really successful middle school teachers, they find a way to still have a slow paced year of beginner instruction in terms of what they're learning, but with a very fast paced classroom environment. Like, it's engaging because those kids, it just is what it is. Kids right now need to feel engaged constantly because that's the life they live. Um, so I think that's one of the big challenges just with teaching of the arts in general.
so what would be some advice you would give some to young band directors or band directors in general?
First bit of advice would be to find a mentor, one, and find a mentor you can build a relationship with that's going to be able to see you teach on a regular basis. Maybe that's monthly, right? So they can talk to you about progress or the lack thereof. I think my second would be um, that teaching with the right team and the right support is more important than you trying to go find a program that's quote unquote good. I think you find a place, I think you find a team you're going to enjoy to teach with. Hopefully, there's a mentor on that team with an administration that supports band on that campus, and that's where you land. The band may not be good yet, but they will be, right? I think oftentimes our young teachers get into the field running around trying to find good bands instead of create good bands. The last one I would say is just, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's something Steve Wessels used to tell me a lot when he helped me when I was my first few years as head band director of Vandegrift. Just I would get frustrated. It's like, Mike, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. There's going to be years that are great. There's going to be months that are great. You know, it just takes time. Just don't overly frustrate yourself. Just enjoy teaching kids and make sure kids are enjoying coming to your class. You know what I mean?
Well, that that kind of goes back to like why band. Well, band's supposed to be fun and something
It is
that brings
supposed to be fun.
people bring people together. I mean, it's a huge team activity, and if you're not having fun with your friends, then why do you want to be there?
Yep, exactly right. Well, look at, so you went to Sinton, right?
Yes, sir.
Good band,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
right?
they've had almost 30 years. They missed their sweepstakes, not
Like
this year,
2
but
years ago?
last year.
Last year? Okay.
Last year with that sight reading.
So, you know, you all have a great band, but there's so many band directors that are in the field that have good bands, or they're teaching, they that are doing great things with their band programs like you are with yours, that didn't necessarily come from the world's best band. You know, the band at Hondo High School was not, we weren't shocking the world. We're making ones. It was a good band, and it was a good size band. It was a healthy program. And I left that program loving music. You know what I mean? And I think you see that a lot talking to folks that are right now that have some really successful programs. They didn't necessarily come from the best band in the state. They just came from programs that were healthy, where kids were engaged and just love being band kids. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we lose that a little bit, um, in our goal to be the world's best band. You know, and are we creating that same kind of environment that's going to make the next generation of kids just want to be band kids for a living? So something I think we got to be careful of.
And that's something I've touched on before. And we've talked to several other people about success and what success means for them. And I've referred to my band program a whole lot about them being a successful and good band program. They just weren't competitive, and that is totally okay,
Absolutely,
because
100%.
my experience as a band kid, and this is something I kind of lean on a whole bunch within our program, is that I get really frustrated sometimes that we don't have more kids involved in like the all region process. But and I don't force my kids to do all region. Like I do not say you have to do all region. That's it, end of story. I don't do that. I don't believe in that. That's just not my thing, because like I just I want them to feel called to do it. Solo and ensemble, it's the same thing. But our solo and ensemble numbers are way higher than our all region numbers. So like we had 55 kids participate. We have approximately 100 kids in band. Like we're probably around 95 to 100. But we had 55 of them participate in solo and ensemble.
Ensemble and ensemble's great because you can meet a kid where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And
I think that's been the thing that's helped our program grow the most. And I know some people are getting away from like the UIL side of it and doing their own thing. But like for us, that's been a huge component, because they just, I mean, I think you're right. It meets them where they feel that they're at, versus you go, here's this comparison product that you can do on your own individual basis, and they just feel a little intimidated because it might be above where they're at or where they feel they can be at, and it's our job to kind of encourage them. But like I don't force them to do that. My band director didn't force me to do our region, and I did it on my own, and that kind of drove me to be a better musician. But like I don't know, I've never been one to go like you're gonna have to do something, because all that does for me in my situation is create a lot of resentment.
Mm.
yeah, yeah, makes sense.
So just distinguishing what success looks like versus being competitive.
Well, is the success based on the clout the band director gets, or is it based on molding the students that leave your program to be good adults?
Well, and that's the thing is, they, you know, I always said, um, when we were at Vandergrift, we won Grand Nationals, right? And you know what happens the day after you come back from winning Grand Nationals? Nothing. Nothing like some trumpet player rolls in with their valve in backwards, you know what I mean? Some kid gets in trouble for doing something stupid. It just keeps going. There's not, you know, to your point, the quote unquote clout, whatever that means, it's we just keep rolling. Like you pull out sleigh
Yeah.
ride and try to get the kid to hit the whip crack at the right time. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just your process keeps going, and I think sometimes these things that we think are quote unquote important, um, we're just not seeing the forest through the trees necessarily, and understanding what's really important. And I think a big piece of the issue with burnout in our business is this constant chase for whatever this thing is that's going to make us feel like we're quote unquote successful, instead of like what what's your student retention like in your program, and what indicators are you using to see if how much you're improving from last year, or what, making sure that you're measuring things in healthy ways, and that you're keeping it about the group, to your point, about the group and not about yourself. And that's hard to do, especially for a young teacher, but it's what will keep people in the business and keep people making healthy decisions. Because you're absolutely right. Just there is nothing wrong with a good band program where kids are having a great experience, they're enjoying themselves, students are performing at a decent level, um, and it's just healthy. You know what I mean? There are plenty of programs out there that are highly competitive that are not healthy, and there's also plenty that are. It just depends on the place and the space, but I do think it's something we have to be really aware of.
Does your band budget feel like it's stuck on repeat? Same old fundraiser, same week results? It's time to change the rhythm. Fan Pledge with Sean Murphy brings the beat back with fun, fast, and effective fundraising. No product sales, no deliveries, and if you don't raise at least 10% more than your current donation based fundraiser, it's free. Call Sean at 903-948-7348. Fan Pledge, the choice of champions.
So, Mike, since you are the man who has done it all, so you have won a state championship in marching, yes?
Mhm.
You have won Grand Nats, and you have won honor band.
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If there was only one that you could choose to hold on to and the other two had to disappear from ever from your memory, which one would it be?
Oh,
Like the
that's
experience
hard.
disappears, the journey, all of
Everything,
it.
all of it.
Mm.
If there's one of those three experiences that you could hold on to a memory forever and the other two would disappear from existence, which one would it be?
Does it just disappear from me, or does it disappear from the kids?
Ooh, he hit me back with another question.
Because
I
the
wasn't
reason I
prepared.
say
Uno
that is
reverse.
I would not, I honestly would not say Grand Nats, but the reason I would be that more kids got to partake in that experience. It had an impact on more kids. Just that whole experience from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, that was a lot of fun. I think the most like uh, special experience, like for me as a professional, was the honor band concert. It was the actual performance itself, um, was really special, and just growing up as a band director's kid and being at tmea, and for many years, having gone to lots of honor band concerts, that was special. But I guess I would have to say the one that impacted the largest number of people, even though it was cold and marching contest. When it comes down to it, it's a marching contest. I mean, it's a marching contest on steroids, but it's just a big contest. But
Yeah.
it was cool. It's just the whole community and stuff was behind that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite part of the marching arts?
Favorite part of the marching arts?
Please say it's a chasse.
You went
I
very
don't know.
micro with that.
I mean, more you did. You took it way down. I wasn't going to go down the specific
You
French
love a
ballet
nice
terms.
tendu.
A rondejam, I prefer that. You know what I mean? I think honestly, I love the coaching aspect of the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's a combination of instruction and just coaching and motivation, and I like that piece of it. Convincing kids to do the things that we convince them to do. You know, a 14-year-old doing a chasse. It's like, here you go, 14-year-old with size 12 feet. That's 4 feet tall. I'm going to get you to sashay across the field, right? So that coaching elements and convincing element of the whole thing, I think, is pretty cool.
It's funny when you say that, and I can picture like our exact student that applies to.
You know, there's so many of them.
The experience is universal.
Do
Yeah.
you have a favorite rudiment?
Ooh, you know, that's tough. I think I have a stupidest rudiment, which I think the parabuzzle is the stupidest rudiment. Not a fan. I was like, somebody's thinking real hard. I think I would just go good old fashioned flan drag.
Ooh,
Oh,
You know what I mean?
surprised it wasn't chicken and a roll.
it's not a rude.
It's an exercise.
Oh my
I
God.
do like chicken and roll. The little guys from Bush's. Yeah.
Yeah, tender roll.
Tender roll. There it is.
Do you so like you said you had done some drum corps while you
Mhm.
were in college. Which corps did you participate in?
Madison Scouts.
Okay,
So
okay, is everyone done Madison Scouts at this
Yes.
point? Like all the big name people have done Madison Scouts. There's like a little cult following.
I think
that's
they all
happened.
did it
Yeah,
together.
they all did it together. They went
I-
to, elementary school together, then they went to college together, and then they went to Madison Scouts together.
now
Do you
I
feel left out,
marched.
Jose?
I'm starting to. Do y'all have a boys chat that everyone needs to know about?
No, we don't.
That's not public for the
I
podcast.
don't see many of those guys too much anymore. But yeah, I marched there for 3 years and then taught for a year, and then it took about a 20-year hiatus from drum corps while I taught leadership camps during the summer, and then started judging drum corps.
Nice.
So that's a different experience.
I bet that is being on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you have a favorite show that you did with the Madison Scouts?
Ooh, Zen and One would be my favorite show that I did with them. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'll get to it in a second.
What did you play?
Bass drum.
Bass drum.
Yeah.
Which
Second
bass?
bass.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm about to say, ooh, put you on bass 5. Rethink some life choices there.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Well, we've touched on this a few different times already. Can you tell us about your relationship with the one, the only Jeremy Spicer?
I can.
J Spice, as they would say.
Yeah, we go way back. So like I said, we knew each other when we were young, middle school, elementary, middle school. He or me and Jeremy, who was a little older than me, and then Manny Maldonado and my brother, who were the same age but a little older than Jeremy, were all a group of people that knew each other quite well for a long time, and we kept in touch. I guess you could say once we moved to Hondo, and then I ended up at Southwest Texas where he was, and we had a lot of mutual friends at Southwest. And I was actually in a Bobcat marching band rehearsal one day. He came up and told me, "Hey, I'm a marching tech, and I'm teaching some lessons at this new school that just split off of Leander High. They're looking for a percussion teacher. You want to come teach some lessons?" So I got hooked in to start teaching lessons at Cedar Park, and that was in Cedar Park, was a brand new school. Working with him, and we became really close again all through college, and then just obviously stayed close through Sassy once I started teaching band. And yeah, we're very close friends for several years there. For all 5 years that we taught at Vandergrift together when the school just opened, Jeremy lived a couple blocks away, so we had some times. Our kids were similar age, so our families were kind of growing up together, and Yeah, it was just a he and I always wanted to do band together, and it was great. We made each other better. We pushed each other, and we're still very close friends to this day. He lives about, I don't know, now he lives about 5-10 miles from me.
So how did the beginning of Sassy happen?
So that was a brainchild between Jeremy and Ron Morrison. Ron was the head band director at Cedar Park at the time. Jeremy was the assistant, and it was born out of honestly them wanting to find a better opportunity for drum majors than what they saw their kids getting. Their kids were coming back from drum major camp and they were learning whistle commands and facing drills and that kind of stuff. All pretty old school. This was probably 2001, 2002, around then, and just thought we think we can do it better, and give an opportunity that teaches kids leadership skills and teaches more modern marching band centric needs for drum majors. So they started a drum major camp actually there in Salado at the Stagecoach Inn. Was the first Sassy drum major camp. It was there for the first couple of years before we started doing the university camps. So it all started as that drum major camp model. Pretty quickly, uh, site-based leadership camps started up, developed a close relationship with a couple of schools in El Paso, and they started going out there. And yeah, that thing, it kind of blew up. For a while, there was 4 or 5 different university camps that were going on. Those university camps went all the way up till COVID, and then things changed a bit. But yeah, it's at some point, it didn't take long into our time together at Vandegrift where the student leadership company for Jeremy was the lifeline. You know what I mean? And he jumped off and went all in the deep end to grow that thing. Eventually, he had bought the whole thing from Ron, so he had sole ownership of it, and done really well with it. It's definitely been an organization I've been proud to be part of for the last I guess 20, 22, 23 years, something like that now. I do less of it than I used to just because of summer commitments and wanting to dip my toe into doing the DCI judging stuff, but still a organization I'm proud to be a part of.
Well, I that is my first actually interaction with you. Is you did
Yeah, I
the
remember.
Sassy camp at we actually with Robinson and we
Huh?
drove up to Vandergrift and that's
That's
my
right.
first interaction. And I remember going in, this is a nice band hall. And so just hearing some of the things that you had to say and your approach to things was like really, really enlightening to me, especially because it was my 5th year teaching. And I can vividly remember saying, I want to be like that guy. Because like for me, as a
So you found out I like chicken gizzards.
yeah.
That's what really drew him
Yeah.
in.
But like your story and like the things you've been through and the lessons you're trying to teach, that resonates really well with me because I played football. I graduated from an old school 3A, now 4A. Um, just that idea. And then I went off to Baylor and it was very different culturally from the coastal Bend, South Texas area. And just this whole entire change in the scenery. And then like some of the stories you were telling about like student leadership, those are like, for me, sitting in those sessions and hearing you talk made me go like, that's what I've been thinking about. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I like envisioned. That's what like, oh my goodness, like this is so great. And like the impact you made on me as a 5th year teacher was very, very like great. And then coming out to see your rehearsal, like we actually came out to see you and Jeremy rehearse Vandegrift, and I go like, this is ridiculous. I go, how do I get to this point? And so I took a lot of the things that y'all were doing in those rehearsals and I started applying them into my own rehearsals as well. So the mindset that you and the Sassy team were like championing. And I can tell you, we still use Sassy. We have a Sassy camp next week with Kyle Norris, and
Nice.
so we've had Reed Atkinson come out. We've had
They're great people.
Jason Robb. We've had Daniel Matoya Jr. come out because he was our music arranger. So just the different perspectives has been very, very, very refreshing.
Very cool.
So what made Vandy special?
I think at first that whole school that was really open a little bit last minute. They were supposed to open the middle school, not the high school, and they ended up opening the high school in the new middle school building. We weren't in the actual high school building that first year. And the school was named after a recently fallen soldier from the community. So, Matthew Vandegrift had not too long before the school actually opened was killed by a IED in Iraq. And there was this really cool sense of community with the school. His family was there a lot. They were at a lot of the events. The school felt a sense of purpose and namesake. That's something I hadn't experienced yet. And I did know, the school's early, it was young at that time, that eventually it would go from feeling like the name of a person to the name of a school, right? And that did happen over the years, but it was just we tried to live within these ideals of service and respect and all of the things that we would want to build a band program on. And honestly, for Jeremy and I, was like, well, we're starting a band program. We've both been doing this for a while. These people don't know what band's supposed to be in their community necessarily. So screw it. We're just going to do it however we want to do it. And we're going to start we're just going to do all the things that we've all wanted to do and steal all the ideas that we like and do it all at one place. So that was just something really special. And in those early years, that group was so tight knit, and that was something that we tried to maintain as the school got bigger. I think a big part of it, honestly, was the principal at the time, who's still the principal at Vandegrift, Charlie Little. He told us from the jump, I want the band to be the cornerstone of the school. So basically, don't screw it up. I have high expectations for you, but I'm going to support you 100%. So the band was kind of a big part of the culture of the school, and still is. It's just a special place. Definitely, in our district, technically, I support all the schools at the same level and love them all. But that school is home to me. And like I said, I watch my kids my actual kids lock themselves in band lockers, and I grew up in that band hall, and so did they. And I watched a lot of kids become better kids. So it's a special place where we rolled up our sleeves and went to work. I think if people want to know what's special about Vandegrift, they should go back and watch the video of the band from 2009, where it's a little tiny band playing an easy show by Daniel Montoya Jr. And it looks like it comes off like a group of kids that aren't very talented but are performing at their very highest level. It was a good band in the end. But we all know that band where you look at them and you're like, they squeezed all the juice out of that lemon, right? That's pretty good. So I think we just continue to build that from there. We started the Vision Dance Company early on, which was just a different take on color guard, which was something unique. Wasn't accepted in the marching band world for a while, but we clung to it and used that dance group as part of our identity, and eventually it was accepted. So there's a bunch of different things I think that have made that school successful and special.
And so you've made a progression in that now. So you were the assistant director and director of percussion, yes, and then you became the head director, and now you have the title as Director of Fine Arts for
Correct.
all of Leander ISD.
That's right.
You know,
That's
you
right.
are sitting at the top of a lot of large personalities.
You know, great personalities though.
No, they're wonderful personalities. We've talked to many of them,
I've
but
seen your list.
but they are a hoot.
Yeah, some of those people I talked to today, actually.
Ooh.
So, yeah, when I took that job about 4 or 5 years before I was planning to. I finished my master's in admin. It was during COVID. It was fall of 2020, I think, when I got my degree. Um, and my goal was to do 4 or 5 more years so that my last 5 or 6 years before I retired would be in the admin job. Um, my predecessor, however, had other plans, and he was done. He was ready to retire, so it kind of hit a big decision point where it's like, okay, I'm either going to try and do this fine arts job or apply for it, or not apply for it, knowing that it probably won't come open again while I'm still teaching, like before I retire. I mean, the last guy was in it for 16 years or whatever. So ultimately decided to apply for the job a little sooner than I was wanting to, but that's all right. It's been a good transition.
So what are some things that you realized, well, didn't realize until you became the Director of Fine Arts?
Um, how hard it is to teach a middle school non-varsity boys choir.
Yeah. Oh,
Hardest
yeah.
class to teach in fine arts. And some of the most impressive teaching I've seen are the ones that are really good at teaching non-varsity tenor bass choir at the middle school level. It's amazing. Now, honestly, I think looking at understanding the value of each of our different arts disciplines within the district. As band director, you've got your blinders and your tunnel vision onto that band program, as you should. That's what I want our people to do. I want them to advocate and fight for their program, right? Um, but starting to see a bigger overhead view of the big picture in the arts has been a big piece of the puzzle, um, and eye opening for me, and understanding the different niches we have for different kids. So that's been a big learning curve. Um, Understanding the needs, different instructional needs of those different disciplines. There's just trying to learn I know what an engaged kid looks like, but like when I sit in an interview for a band director position, I know the language I want them to speak, right? So trying to understand what that language is for theater and for choir, right? Um, I will tell you one thing that was really helpful to me when my daughter was doing dance, and at the point where I was like, okay, well, I knew that if she was going to be in my band program, that she was going to have an excellent experience. So she's going to do the dance program, and I kept thinking to myself, damn it, she better have an excellent experience. And going into that fine arts role is the same kind of mindset of, regardless of the program or the discipline they're going into, they need to have a remarkable experience, whether that's what it feels like to be in the Rouse band as compared to the Cedar Park band, or what it feels like to be in the Vandergrift theater production as compared to, the Vandergrift dance team. Like, everybody's got to have an exceptional experience. So understanding how to try and make that happen from a support lens, from an instructional lens, that's been a big hill to climb.
So what would you say is something the band directors or just fine arts people in general need to understand about like fine arts admin or just administration in general?
I think the big thing that I want them to understand, and I think they do, is what the goal of administration really is. And I think it takes the right kind of administration, right? But I have a philosophy of a school system that there are only two kinds of employees for a school system, right? There are the people teaching the kids, and there are everybody else. That's it. Those are the two buckets. And the job of everybody else is to keep the kids safe and to remove barriers for the teachers so they can teach. Like that's everybody's job. So when I look, what I want our teachers to know in terms of the philosophy of what we're trying to do is our whole goal is to remove barriers. We can't remove all the barriers for teachers, but we're going to try and get as many of those barriers out of their way as possible so that they can get to spend more of their time connecting with kids. Um, so I think that's thing number one. And sometimes those are things. Um, Sometimes we're trying to get them out of their own way with things, or sometimes we're having to make decisions to try and keep kids safe or try to maintain funding. Um, and at surface level, they can be frustrating things for teachers. But again, I think the foundation, making sure that they genuinely understand the foundational approach from our office is we're a support network, not a gotcha network. I think that allows us to have better conversations and for there to be a better level of trust. And that transition has been really positive into this role with a lot of the people. A lot of the band directors are people that I've worked with that have been peers and colleagues of mine for a long time. So as we're curious what that dynamic would feel like moving from that role of being part of the head band director team to being a fine arts administrator. But it's really, I mean, it's been great. I get to spend a lot of times. I feel really fortunate that they invite me into their band halls. I spend a lot of time in their band halls getting to work with their kids, and it's been great.
Do you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
I don't.
Okay. So what you just said just kind of reminded me of a scene where the main character Ted is like a member of like he's on a lower level and he's like cutting up with everybody like making fun of the boss's shirt and all that kind of stuff. And then he gets promoted to like lead of his team. And then, as soon as he walks into the room gets quiet and he's wearing the flower shirt and everyone makes fun of the flower shirt. It's like, oh my goodness, is that what happened?
Well, I think we all go through that in our band directing business. I'll never forget. It was a region meeting. It was about 10 years ago, probably, and a fall region meeting or whatever. And I remember standing in the band hall, and I was sitting having a conversation with Steve Wessels and Brian Christian. And I looked over, and there's like the crowd of fun, cutting up young band directors in the corner. And they just look like they're having a great time. And here I am talking to the old guys, and I'm thinking, wait a second, what's going on here, man? I'm supposed to be over there screwing around with those guys.
Oh, you saw yourself shift across the room. You're like, no.
That's just part of that process. The dynamic has changed, but it's been great. It's allowed me to see the bigger picture of fine arts. I think it's allowed me to get to be more active with tmea, which has been cool. I don't know that that's something that I would have or could have done while I was still the head band director of Vandergrift. And it's been a new journey.
So you just touched on this. So you are also a very, very important figure in tmea. What is your?
Not say important.
That's called a downplay, ladies and gentlemen. So what is your role inside tmea currently?
I'm the current vice president and band division chair for tmea.
Okay. What does that job all entail for you?
Oh man, way more than I thought it was going to. So it basically runs everything band division for tmea. So that's all of the auditions, from music selection to facilitation. That's the entire convention. So Of course, you have committees that assist with all of the different selection things, but that's trying to figure out some way imaginable to get from 300 clinic submissions to 42 clinic spots that you have available, right? Um, which I think was one of the most daunting tasks. And we have some great committee members to help with that. But I honestly didn't realize how many clinic submissions there were. And I also didn't realize how few clinic spots there are. When I got my clinic spots, I said I was like 42. So there's way more clinics at TMEA than that. But the honor band contest, invited spotlight contest. I mean, it's a beast of a thing. It's been a blast, but it's a heavy lift.
Well, and I feel like that's what a lot of people don't realize, like all the things that happen behind the scenes for that. It's like the region organizers,
Oh yeah.
region coordinator people, like you don't see that. The executive secretary people for the regions,
Yeah.
for UIL, and then the TMEA, executive board and the people who are involved in that. Like you just don't realize what is happening behind the scenes until you're behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome seeing that machine work. The convention, that we've all been going to forever. I mean, it's just the amount of orchestration of things and tasks and wheels that are turning to make that thing work. I mean, you're talking about a convention with 35,000 people, which is just wild. That's a lot. There's a lot going on with that thing.
You mean it's just not Howl at the Moon?
No, and I'll tell you, man, it is crazy how you talked about the How You Met Your Mother thing. I think I could encompass that whole experience through the way my TMEAs have felt from college to now, and how much my experience changed. Where all the way up to this last year, where man, I don't know if I did anything sociable all of TMEA. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just except walk around the convention center 10, 15 miles a day.
Jose,
Getting my steps in.
have you been going to clinics at Howl at the Moon?
Maybe that's the way to get people to go.
I didn't realize people still went to Howl at the Moon. Is that still a thing?
It's still a thing.
The hot spots at TMEA have kind of floated around over the years.
Well, Bar Rojo closed down this past year, and which was a real bummer for John Mackey.
Yeah.
People lost their place to be seen.
Yeah. It's
Man,
it's prime real estate,
I think my favorite spot is I like the Marriott Riverwalk bar.
That's
You
where
kind
we
of tucked away in there.
That's
know what
where
I
we
mean?
stay, and so we usually hang out down there.
That's the spot, I think.
All right,
Bar Rojo.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite memory from being a band director or being a student?
Oh man. Being a band director or being a student. Playing in the All-State Band was awesome. Jim Keen was the director, and I remember playing timpani on March Slav, and I just thought it was mind-blowing as a kid from the Hondo Band. You know what I mean?
Were you in ATSSB?
No. TMEA.
You were in TMEA?
Yeah.
See, because I had him as well, but I was ATSSB, and we played March Slav. Maybe he just had like a set list that he pulled from.
Probably.
Did you play Dance of the Jesters?
No, we did not play Dance of the Jesters. We played Shostakovich folk festival, not Festive Overture, but the thing from the Gadfly Suite. That's cool.
Dance of the Jesters, I just don't like it. It's not my thing.
It's because you're a tuba player.
Yeah.
We're playing downbeats. Clarinets enjoy it.
Yeah, clarinets do enjoy it.
Tubas and horns, not so much.
How do you feel about bolero?
It's fine.
It's a thing.
Play the snare drum really soft. I'm not listening to it on my car going to work tomorrow.
I like playing the snare drum really soft, just about sums it up.
Yeah. So when you're not doing band or fine arts things, what do you do to unwind?
Love to do stuff outdoors. Love to watch sports. I'm actually training right now for a canoe race that we
I've heard about this. I've heard that you have done it a few different times. Okay.
we're trying to finish our ninth one. It's a canoe race called the Texas Water Safari. It's dubbed the world's toughest canoe race. So it's a 264-mile race from San Marcos to the Gulf. It ends in right over by Port Lavaca in Seadrift, Texas. So yeah, 260 miles, 80 miles of San Marcos River, and then the other 180 whatever miles are on the Guadalupe River.
So how does that happen? Like, what do you just like? Is it over? How long does it take?
So our fastest time is 56 hours. Our slowest time is 81 hours. It just depends, honestly, on how high the water is, and how many mistakes there are, how many things mess up. So the race itself, there are checkpoints that you have to hit within certain time limits, or you get pulled from the race. Me and my partner, a guy I used to teach with that I mentioned earlier, we've done it together the whole time. So typically the race has about a 50%, depending on the water level, a 50% to 60% completion rate. So we're 8 for 8 right now, knock on wood. But it happens in June, so we're right now, when I'm not doing fine arts and band stuff, I'm training for the Texas Water Safari, which is coming up in 2 weeks.
How do you see this rolls back to like that whole entire like lifeguard thing? That's what I'm envisioning now.
Well,
It's rough. It is. We pay money to do this. It's terrible. Terrible in the best way. I mean, it's all night. You don't stop.
how do you train? What do you do to train?
Well, you try and stay in shape, but
Yeah.
honestly, you get on the river. Luckily, we're close enough to San Marcos to where we'll drive down and we'll do sections of the course. So we'll go down and do 25, 30 miles stretches during the weekends. And yeah, there's no way to train for the sleep deprivation. That you just kind of suck
You
it
could
up.
have a baby.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But yeah, I think we usually sleep 4 to 5 hours total in that. It usually takes around 60 hours for us to finish it.
Do you take like shifts to sleep, or do you
Nope.
both sleep at the same time?
Usually just pull off on a rock bank and lay down for 2 hours and get back in the boat and go.
Yeah, check for snakes.
I listened to a podcast about I don't remember what it was called, but it was in the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River. I don't remember his name, but he was trying to beat the record for that, like canoeing down the Colorado River. And it was kind of the same idea, like there's checkpoints and like, yeah.
Maybe that needs to be your next venture, is doing the Grand Canyon, Colorado River one.
I think I want to summit. I think Amber and I would like to summit Mount Rainier, because you can go. So we've done some pretty big hikes. Like we did a big hike in Europe a couple of years ago with some friends of ours. It's like a 10-day hike. It was awesome. But you can do Mount Rainier, and it's like 2-day mountaineering course, and then it's 2 days up and 1 day down kind of thing.
Yeah. That would be really cool.
Okay, I have to say this. The people that I know that are into this kind of stuff are all percussionists.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. They're all a little crunchy. And the other thing that people like, percussionists that I know that also like, very common thing, smoked meats.
Yes.
As in barbecue.
That is, including
Barbecue's good.
Yeah.
We are in the, we're in the renaissance of barbecue in Central Texas right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a good time to be a barbecue aficionado.
I agree.
So where's your favorite barbecue spot?
Probably Interstellar Barbecue.
Okay, I'm going.
Jose's going on Saturday.
All right. See, I've got an issue with that though. So that place used to be a sandwich shop called the Noble Pig. These dudes are awesome, and actually, Jeremy and I have been going there for years.
I've been to the Noble Pig.
There's one in the airport now in Austin, but the Noble Pig, they're on 620. They were just tired of it, They had been on diners, drive-ins, and dives, the whole thing, right? And they're like, screw it, we're going to start making barbecue. And they started Interstellar. And for probably 2 years, it was the best kept secret in North Austin because it was there was never a line. You just rolled in, amazing barbecue. And then it was the last Texas Monthly top 50 barbecue joints that came out. Not this recent one, but the one before, where I think they were second.
Mm-hmm.
And overnight,
Yep,
it blew up. Yep,
blew up. I don't think I've been back. We've ordered it a couple of times, but now there's a line.
There's a line. They were number
But it's
6
solid.
this year, I think.
Well, Mike, a whole bunch of band directors are going on Saturday. If you would like to come along.
He's got a canoe race to train.
I'm canoeing the river on Saturday.
See?
Oh, then, yeah. Like, do you ever just get like a band directors who have like a fangirl moment with you? But like they don't know how to interact. They're like, oh, it's Mike Howard. Oh.
I don't think so.
They just give you a little bit of wider berth. They're like, oh my goodness.
I think they do, Mike. I think you don't see it.
Nah.
Band directors feigning at tmea. Mike Howard.
That's why so many booths on the exhibit hall floor have couches now.
Couches and candy. You know what I mean?
If there's something you could bring back, what would it be? It could be anything. Yeah, anything. Anything from your childhood, anything from band, anything.
Damn.
We've had a lot of a variation of answers here. We've had people say secrets. We've had people say Dunkaroos.
Secrets was a good one.
Yeah. Shame, yeah. Bring back having shame.
Who said shame?
Justin.
Oh, shame. Yep.
Damn. If there's something I could bring back, I think you mentioned it before. I think I'd bring back 2 sitcoms with original staffs. I think for one season only, I'd bring back the original cast of The Office and the original cast of Seinfeld.
Oh, preach.
One season.
Yeah.
And it might be terrible, and it might not be near as good, but I think I'd bring that back.
I mean, they brought back Roseanne, and look how that turned out.
That's true, but come on.
That's different.
Come on. That doesn't. I don't think it ages. I don't think Roseanne ages as well as those two. Granted, some of the early Office stuff probably wouldn't age well now. But
I have to know now, though. What is your favorite Office episode, and what is your favorite Seinfeld episode?
My favorite Seinfeld episode is probably the marine biologist.
C was angry that day, my friend.
Yes, I think it's fantastic. I think the answer's supposed to be the contest, but the end of that episode,
that's iconic,
is a 10. I think my favorite Office episode is also my least favorite because it's just terrible and gut-wrenching. It's the one where he's promised the kids that
Scott's Tots.
He's going to pay for their college. Yes, Scott's Tots. It is so awful.
Hey, Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen that episode, and I like every single.
Do you know the marine biologist episode?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't watch Seinfeld.
It's where Kramer has been hitting golf balls into the ocean, and George is on this date with this girl, and he's told her that he's a marine biologist, and he's not. And there's a beached whale on the beach, and she's like, "He's a marine biologist," and so he goes. And
I've seen
he reaches
this part.
into the blowhole and he pulls out a golf ball. So that's the end of the episode. He's recounting the story at the diner.
Well, that whole thing is because they had tested the episode in front of a live studio audience, and it didn't have that ending on it, and it didn't test well. So they wrote that whole thing. Larry David wrote it last minute, and it's just awesome.
That's one of my favorite Larry David stories is when George quits his job and then comes back and pretends like he didn't, is that he did that on Saturday Night Live. Like he and Lorne Michaels got in like a screaming match and he's like, I'm quit. And so he quit and he leaves. And then he realized that was a bad idea. And then he came back on Monday morning and was just like, hey, and just pretended like he never quit.
So do you know the Buddy Rich bus tapes?
Yes.
So there's Seinfeld uses quotes from the Buddy Rich bus tapes. You can go to YouTube, and he does a whole interview about how he's used those bus tapes in different episodes, and they show clips from it. It's
That's
pretty cool.
hilarious.
Alexa, is there anything you would like to bring back?
Besides Seinfeld?
Yes.
Time to watch Seinfeld.
There you go.
Or The Office. Actually, I would bring back The Office to a streaming platform that we subscribe to.
We have too many.
Well, it's on Peacock, and we don't have Peacock. So we don't have that one.
It's just like we got shamed for not having YouTube premium.
We don't watch enough YouTube for that. I can't justify that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Not my thing. If it wasn't banned, what would it have been?
I think it would have been a writer. I was probably a journalist, honestly.
Really?
I know there's nothing too sexy about journalism, but
oh, sir, I don't know, Walter.
But I was, I like to write. I think that was if there was a direction I would have could have gone, that might have been one of them, but that could have been a thing.
When was the last time you wrote your wife a love note?
Not too long ago, actually.
Oh,
yeah. One of the times I was actually headed to El Paso for a few days because I was going to go work with some dudes, do a thing at UTEP.
When's the last time
we leave each other notes? We do fun
you
things
wrote your
like
wife a love note?
it's been a while.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
You'll get back to him. You get back to it when the kids get older.
It's because you wouldn't have been a writer. You would have been like an accountant.
Yeah, I would have been an accountant. Also, my handwriting's really horrible, so like writing
still means something.
Chat GPT is going to come in real handy for those love notes.
That's true. That's true.
Do you have a guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, guilty pleasure? I don't know. We just finished a couple of things. Let's see. We just finished The Last of Us.
We haven't started the second season yet. I played the video game, and that I'm having to get myself in the right state.
We watched it before our son was born. Now we have a son named Joel. It's just kind of
different.
Yeah.
Is it 90 Day Fiance?
What's that?
90 Day Fiance.
I can't get
Secret Lives
that.
of Morbid Lives.
We used to get behind some Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Oh,
I could get behind some of that.
Maybe we should.
It faded out of our lives, but there were a few seasons there where we were in it, so you could call that my guilty pleasure.
Well, then they started making The Golden Bachelor.
There's a bunch
just took it too far.
There's a lot of.
Well, some things just like they outlive their welcome.
That's right, like American Idol.
Yeah, and then
they should just let it go, let it die.
The Masked Singer.
They used to, when reality TV was like young, they used to throw epic twists into the, like, do you remember the one, Joe Millionaire? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Love show where it's like they were all courting a millionaire, and then at the end they're like, no, he's just a normal guy. Like, sorry.
Who's really the awful person?
Yeah. Do you remember the show The Mole?
No.
This is when I grew up and we didn't have cable. We only had network TV, so that's what.
I don't know. I watched a lot of Days of Our Lives.
Oh, we watched The Young and the Restless.
There was a lot of that in our house just because we didn't have cable.
If I wanted to watch cable, I had to walk to my grandparents' house.
If we wanted to watch cable, we spliced into the neighbors.
Yeah, I know. You told me that.
We also didn't have cable, so you had every few months you had that really special week where you got HBO for free. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It was magical. So you'd record as many movies as you could on the VHS, and then
Yeah, and then didn't watch anything after 9:00.
This is why it bothers me that you've never seen Seinfeld, because there's a Seinfeld episode for everything. Because there's an episode where Kramer tries to get Jerry to splice into the cable, and he hires the Russians. And
that's true.
Yeah,
maybe I just need to start it.
You do.
I just need to find a way to start it.
Yeah.
Get past the pilot. Pilot's not very good.
Yep.
There's some pilots that are just like, oh. Did you ever jump on the Lost train?
Never did. No.
Did you watch
Yes.
it when
Oh,
it was okay?
I watched it afterwards, and
I tried.
I binged it, and when I finished it, I didn't know what to do with myself.
That's a weirder show.
We're like 24. People got
I
really
never
into
watched
24.
24.
Yeah, they got really into 24.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just interesting.
I got really into Succession.
Yes,
Great
you did.
show.
It was
Great
very
I
show.
still haven't finished it.
yeah. I don't remember where you stopped. You stopped before a lot of like the good stuff happens though.
Okay, well, maybe it's the summer. I'll try and fit it in
I
somewhere.
can't remember. You definitely stopped before the Kindle wrap L to the OG. You stopped before all that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know where you stopped. You stopped on the yacht.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Breaking Bad. I stopped at the Fly episode.
Oh, great show.
The Fly episode was rough.
Yeah.
Like, I was
Breaking
just
Bad
like,
is so good. Though.
I know it is good. I'm not very good at finishing shows. When it gets to a certain point, I'm just like, this is stupid.
Enough is
Clearly.
enough.
Yeah. Like, I need to be engaged. That's the way I felt about like Game of Thrones. I was like, what are we doing?
Okay, but that was traumatic for everyone involved.
Yes.
Everyone
Where are we going with this
collectively
thing?
was
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
not always how it is.
Decisions were made, and they were the wrong decisions.
You know?
I try to put that out of my mind.
All right. What is your place to eat in the greater Austin area or Austin?
We have a place down the road called the Lucky Rabbit. We like a lot. It's awesome. It's in Jonestown. Anything Mexican food, because that's all my wife ever wants to eat. So we go
Quality.
to all the places. But I don't know. There's so much good downtown. So many good spots.
You know, I feel like Austin has had like a re-energized like food thing. It's like
There's a lot of good
Houston.
spots.
Houston is like the center point for like cultural food and fusion.
Yeah.
I think Austin's starting to have that now.
I follow the dude on Instagram, the Hungry Longhorn, and I think he's been to like 700 something restaurants in the Austin area, and the places that he goes to are like, they're so cool, and there's so many of them, and it's like I would never get to go to because we don't live there, like even a fraction of those.
Well, it's just like New York. Like
Yeah.
you could eat at a new restaurant every single day in New York and still not eat
absolutely.
everywhere by the time you die, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and then places close.
We
down
don't get
open.
we don't get down. I would imagine as we continue to get older, we'll venture out more. You know what I mean? But we stay kind of north, pretty far north most of the time. We'll get downtown for different stuff. And it's not too bad. It's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, I got some questions for you here, Mike.
This whole podcast has been questions.
I know. These are going to be faster. Thank you, Alexa.
All right, quick fire. Here we go.
All right. So real fast, how many episodes have you listened to? Have you listened to 1, 2, 0?
This is my first one.
Great.
Listening to it right now.
He's listened to
I
the
did
whole
go-
thing though.
I didn't have to listen.
We've
I'm
had
living it.
100% retention.
I did go through the list though, so I'll listen. I'll listen to. I've got some select people that I saw on your list that I want to give a listen to.
I feel like we've asked some pretty good people to be on the pod.
I think I'm gonna listen to Roberts first.
Yeah, I think Kim talked about you too. I feel like she mentioned you.
Okay.
Well, I tried to dig dirt up on almost everyone. You, I didn't because you hold too much power. But I tried to dig like dirt on Kim, and nobody would spill the beans about Kim because she goes, "Oh, I got the secrets."
No one would speak.
No one would say anything.
That's hilarious.
Kind of like I am Spartacus
Yeah,
situation.
it's just like, oh my goodness, like I need some dirt. So, but that didn't happen. Oh well. All right. So, what's your favorite type of weather?
Favorite type of weather? 72 degrees and sunny.
Oh, that's good. What if you could have any superpower? What would it be?
I think I want to be able to see the future. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite silly word?
But appropriate word?
Dealer's choice.
I don't think so. I don't think I have a silly word. I don't know if that makes me a dry person.
I say sarsaparilla. and
You say that
succotash.
very frequently.
I don't know why I say sarsaparilla
You're
so often.
obsessed.
It's a good word.
Yep.
And then I bring up the John Mackey
Rolls off the
piece, and you're
tongue.
like, "What?"
Yep. If you were a fruit, which one would it be?
I think I'd go pineapple. Is that a fruit?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it a
that
berry?
works.
I think it's technically a berry.
Is it a berry?
Does it grow on a vine?
That's a big ass berry.
Pick it up to appease you.
What's your go-to dance move?
Oh, non-dance. I'm like a, stay in the corner and move side to side kind of thing.
No, I
My
get it.
roommate Brandon Estes many years ago in college said that was my best bet as far as dancing went.
What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Ooh, man, I've Hondo, Texas, eating some weird wild game kind of stuff. Basically anything that moves,
Squirrel.
we could kill it and cook it and serve it. You
That
know
sounds
what I mean?
about right. Oh, I get it.
They had this fundraiser in Hondo called the Wild Game Dinner, and it was just some random ass food. Who knows?
I bet
what
that
it
sells
is.
some tickets.
Yeah, I
too.
bet it
It
does.
does.
If you had any place to visit in the world, where would it be?
Ooh. Any place in the world. I'm probably going the Italian Alps. Summertime.
What's a song that makes you feel happy?
Song that makes me feel happy. Mess Around by Ray Charles.
Do you have a favorite action movie?
Probably all of the Rocky series. You know what I mean?
I don't know. You can skip 5.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, 5 is not good. You have a favorite stand tune?
The Horse.
Worst stand tune?
Land of a Thousand Dances.
Sousa, King, or Fillmore?
Sousa. No question.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Yes. Making cakes. I can make the hell out of a high-end decorating of cakes.
Wow. Cake boss over here.
He needs
Yeah.
tmea proposal. Making cakes with
Bake
Mike
cakes
Howard.
with Mike Howard.
That's what you need. You need to pitch this to Josh Gall, the Gall brothers at UDB,
There it is.
and be on
UDB.
Stride TV.
Cake with Mike.
Cake
Making a
with
cake with the chef's thing on. I do like to cook. I love to cook.
toilet paper, over or under?
Under. You mean like how it's on the roll?
Yes. Does it go under or does it go over?
No, it goes under. Pull it from behind.
Yeah, this podcast is over.
Yeah. It's a full stop on that one.
Is a taco a sandwich?
No, I don't think so.
If you had a spy code name, what would it be?
Spy code name. I think I'd use Maverick because I'm a Top Gun fan.
How did you feel about the second movie?
I thought it was cool. It was basically the same thing.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie. It made me feel like it was a good blockbuster again.
Yeah.
There was a lot of throwback, which I appreciated. That was good.
Yeah.
Good to see in the theater.
Do you have a favorite store?
Favorite store? I can't say Amazon, right? That's a cop out.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a cop out.
I'd go like an outdoor store, like REI or Dick's or something like that. I like this is an old guy thing, but just a solid Home Depot visit. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. I think you get into that.
I could just walk around Home Depot.
You can get into that era of your life. You're like, you know what? Going to Lowe's sounds good.
Solid.
Is there a movie you enjoy quoting?
The Big Lebowski.
Oh, The Dude.
The Dude. Yeah.
That's a good one. Didn't they just have a thing with Jeff Bridges and John Goodman?
I don't know.
They've done a couple of kind of reunion type things.
Well, when John Goodman got his star on the Walk of Fame, Jeff Bridges gave him, I think, the coat from The Big Lebowski.
That's right. Yeah.
Like this is his whole entire thing. If someone played you in a movie, who would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. Let me answer that. Let's go. I'll go Chris O'Donnell.
Oh, I haven't heard of Chris O'Donnell in a hot second. Whatever happened to him?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, it's the one I remember. If I'm thinking of the correct actor, Chris
Do you have to
O'Donnell.
look it up?
He was in.
He was in Sin of a Woman, and
Yes. Oh, wasn't there one where he was supposed to get married?
This is not what I associate him with.
Oh, what was it? Sin of the Woman. Oh, the Batman.
That's what I associate him with. Batman and Robin
Yep.
specifically.
Oh, The Bachelor,
I
where his grandfather like left him a huge sum of money, but the only way it could work, spoiler alert, is that if he got married before his like X amount of time.
This seems like a movie you have seen.
Oh yeah, do you have a favorite rom-com?
favorite rom-com. Hot take. I love rom-coms.
There's no hot take
I
here.
would go.
We love it.
I think I'd go When Harry Met Sally on that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'd throw Love Actually in there. Also solid. You know, you got your back-to-back Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan situation with Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail.
yep.
Classics.
We'll
Classics.
do everything.
You
Yeah.
don't even like Sleepless in Seattle, though.
It makes me
We've
sad.
talked about this before.
It makes me
Too
sad. It hits me
sad
right in
for
the
you.
feels.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I just like I'm weepy. I'm very weepy.
You've gotten weepier as you've gotten
I
older.
have. Like you show me a soldier coming home video, tears.
You've always been like that.
Yeah.
But now it's like we watch, I don't know, we've watched children's movies in Bluey, and I look over and you're like crying.
Are you a Disney adult?
No. I don't dislike Disney. It's fun.
But that's where it ends.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna, it's fun to go. I guess we'll go again at some point, but I got a lot of places to visit before I go back to Disney.
Yeah.
I'm going to say,
You got the
which
time, you gotta
band?
go.
That's the real question. Which band are you going to go with?
That's right.
Yeah, just hop on.
See, and he can do that.
Yeah.
Because he's the boss.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to get that comp ticket.
I
That's
want to
coming
go to
this
that new
direction.
Universal Park now.
Yeah, it
with
looks
the-
pretty solid.
It does. The
Epic Universe.
I want to
Looks
go
cool.
to the Nintendo part of it. I've never been to Universal though. I haven't even been to Harry Potter World at all. I'm just
Shame.
sorry.
Yeah.
Shame.
I've never been with a band that went to Universal.
Well, Mike, here's the question everybody's been waiting for. Is there a Dairy Queen in your hometown?
There is a
Ooh.
couple.
Did you say
Actually,
a
there's-
couple?
Yeah, because there's one in Cedar Park and there's one in Leander, a new one in Leander, not too far from my office.
Is there one in Hondo, Texas?
There is. Of
Okay,
course, there is.
What's your order from a Dairy Queen?
Steak finger basket
Solid.
with a blizzard.
What's your Blizzard order?
Probably cookie dough. Maybe if I'm feeling frisky, Butterfinger Reese's Cup combo. you know?
Oh,
Solid.
gluttonous.
That's right.
Glutton.
It's a solid order.
That is a solid order. We had Dairy Queen earlier today.
There you go.
To appease a small child.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know you bargained with her.
Well, yeah, you got to work with all your chips.
Our daughter went to like drill team camp, and it's just a 3-day
Okay.
camp, 2 hours a day. And she just decided that she was angry mid camp. The root of the issue was she raised her hand to ask a question, and they did not answer her question. So she decided she was finished with those people. And Jose pulled her out and talked to her, and he was like, "If you go back, I will take you to Dairy Queen." So that's how we finished the day. Yep. Well, she got a dip cone. There was also controversy though with the dip cone because we get to Dairy Queen, and the whole time that it's like a 20-minute drive on the way home from school to Dairy Queen. And so we get to Dairy Queen, and the whole time she had said, "I want the Cookie Monster dip cone." And we get there, and they say, "Sorry, we don't have that anymore." So she threw a fit for a second, and then I was like, "We are leaving if you don't tell me your alternate order." And so she decided on a cherry dip cone.
There you go.
So that's how the
We've been
saga
doing
ended.
some Dairy Queen stops because my daughter is a Kilgore College Rangerette. She goes to school in Kilgore. So we drive by a lot of Dairy Queens
Oh, yeah.
between Austin and northeast, east Texas.
Yep.
I've always said that you're in a small town when you go to a town and the main food is Dairy Queen.
Well, that's why we asked the question.
Yes.
Texas stop sign. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, and then there's the people who have like the fancy Dairy Queens, which are called the Mayfield Dairy Queens. I didn't know there was a difference until somebody said we have a Mayfield.
Well, the one
That's
in
what
Cedar
we have
Park.
in that's
Yeah.
what we have in Cedar Park and Leander, the bougie ones, Dairy Queens.
Yep.
Well, you know about those Pizza Huts, right?
The retro Pizza Huts.
No.
Pizza Hut classics. Yeah, I have to pull up the list. I think they must be national, but there's
Just
a handful.
like OG Pizza Hut.
You
There's
can go
a
in,
handful of them across the
glass,
country
whatever.
that are like the 90s vibe with the chandeliers.
That's kind of
and
awesome.
Yeah.
Are they still carpeted? That part was kind of gross.
There's one in Cameron. I think that's the closest one to us. Is that what we
That could
decided?
have
I think so.
That could have been my bring back Pizza Hut.
OG Pizza Hut.
I used to love going to a
Pizza
With the
Pizza Hut.
buffet.
Yep. After a T-ball game or a baseball game on Saturday.
We used to go skating on Saturdays, and then we would go to Pizza Hut. It was right across the street.
Baseball, and then, all right, guys, we're going to Pizza Hut.
That's small town.
Yeah.
For
Yes,
sure.
it is.
That's what it was. And then I'd go home and I'd watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There it is.
I watched Power Rangers.
It was so good. It was so good. Well, Alexa, I think that's all I have.
That's definitely all I have. But
All right.
Mike, do you have anything else?
No, it's been great being on. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for talking.
Good times.
All right.
I'm going to go listen to some episodes.
Good. Well, thanks for listening to Band Yap. We'll see you next time. Bye.
We out.
Don't forget, Fan Pledge is changing the game for band fundraising. Sean Murphy can help you ditch the product sales and still bring in record-breaking support for your program. And with the 10% guarantee, there's zero risk. Give Sean a call at 903-948-7348 to get started. One more time, 903-948-7348. Fan Pledge, fundraising that actually works.